कभी सोचा न था ये मीलों दूर होगा साया क्यों खुदा तूने मुझे ऐसा ख्वाब दिखाया जब हकीकत में उसे तोड़ना था
FM, Hot Like Pepper, Multicultural Radio.
Power to the listeners.
It is now time for Major News to the Hour, brought to you by Crystal Beverages Company, Super Quality Supermarket, Sheikh Elisha Limited, and the Trinidad and Tobago News Day.
This is the 3 p.m. news update on U97.5 FM, Hot Like Pepper Multicultural Radio. I am Uma Ratan Singh. Good afternoon. COVID-19 cases expected to rise in TNT in the coming days, according to Dr. Avery Hines, Technical Director at the Ministry of Health. An assurance coming from the CMO that non-nationals with COVID-19 symptoms will be treated at the same level as nationals of TNT. Another governmental office closed for sanitization in Tobago. 64-year-old Moverman fatally stabbed on Sunday. Early morning burglary in Pinto Road, Arima. And that's your news update to 3 p.m. on U97.5 FM, Hot Like Pepper Multicultural Radio. Join us at 4 p.m. for major news. I am Uma Ratan Singh. Good afternoon. Up next is Anduki with Politics 2020.
Visit Eddie's Pharmacies Limited newest location inside JTA Supermarket, C3 Center, Current Village, San Fernando. They offer blood pressure, blood sugar, cholesterol and pregnancy testing, as well as all pharmaceutical products and over-the-counter drugs, along with CDAP prescriptions. Sagicor Caricare International Medical Card, Guardian Life Provider Card and Republic Bank points are all accepted at their 3 locations of Eddie's Pharmacy Limited. RS Building, Rocha Douglas Road, Barraco, GN Building in Pinal, and C3 Center, Current Village, San Fernando.
Attention all bakers, doubles vendors and roti makers. Try our high quality unbleached bromate free all-purpose and baker's flour. Low price and conveniently packaged in 2 pounds, 2 kg, 10 kg and 25 kg bags. For wholesale and retail prices, contact Shiklisha Limited 665-3336 or visit us at Warrenville, Canupia. Shiklisha Limited, quality you can trust.
Greeted in the wonderful name of Jesus, my name is Bishop Kelvin Khan from Endurance Ministry International. Our new location is in Railway Road, Londonville. You can tune into 97.5 every Sunday morning from 6 a.m. till 8. Tell your nanny and your nana, your chachi, your chacha, your grandpa, your grandma. We need to pray for our nation. God bless you. Thank you.
Praise Him, praise Him.
This is Samaru Ramrup inviting you on a journey down memory lane with enchanting songs on the program Nightline, Mondays to Thursdays, 9 p.m. to 12 midnight. Let your heart sing along with the music on U975 FM, Hot Like Pepper, Multicultural Radio.
It is back. Talk Your Talk is back. This is Mukesh Baburam inviting you to join me right here on U975 FM for the return of Talk Your Talk from 6 to 9 p.m. Enjoy your favorite segments and feel free to make your comments as we journey together. So join me, Mukesh Baburam, for Talk Your Talk. Talk Your Talk.
Just exactly 7 minutes after the top of the hour. Thank you for a 3 p.m. news update. That was Irma Ratan Singh. You're locked on to U975 FM, Hot Like Pepper, Multicultural Radio. It's time now to get back to the business of our nation. We are going to deal in some details with how the PNM and the UNC got results in on election night. Of course, the opposition United National Congress, not conceding, have asked for a recount in at least 5 seats. You know, the UNC, they are acting as though they don't know where the PNM got the figures from to declare victory, even after they got less seats. Both parties boast of their election machineries prior to the election. An important part of that machinery is the polling agents of each candidate in each polling station. The polling agent of every candidate are present all day during the vote, most times in morning and afternoon shifts and throughout the counting of the votes. I was discussing this morning with Kenrick Jagannath because both of us have acted prior in other elections as polling agents. So we know how the process goes, right? The polling agent then would sign the return of the poll form in which the results are recorded. And each party has his or her copy. The polling agent will then submit the return of the poll forms to the constituency office of the party. The media camped out outside the party headquarters of both the PNM and the UNC. And based on the return of the poll documents from their polling agents, these results are announced. Every candidate, independent or of every party, is entitled to have a polling agent at every polling station. The EBC does not give results to any party and make any declaration of results until after the results are concluded. You're locked on to Politics 2020, and we will be discussing some of these issues, those suggesting otherwise. You know, the fundamental problem with the electoral process is that the first past the poll system, and secondly, the monopoly frustrate the right of the electorate to select and elect representatives of their choice. Trying to blame the EBC, I see it as a method to distract from the fundamental undemocratic nature of the electoral process. You can call me in on 636-7547, 227-5739. Remember, we are also streaming live on Facebook. We are on YouTube on RCLU 975. You can also log on there. You can send us your WhatsApp messages on 378-4975. I see the lines are ringing off the hook already. Let us go to the lines. Hello, good afternoon.
What? Are you the first caller? Good evening.
Yes, hi, how are you?
I called your name yesterday and you're there.
Okay. Well, I'm here now.
Yeah, two ladies there, but I missed. I just
You
called.
you missed me.
I see there wasn't the I see like the I say Rowdy call you and offer you saying that step and left the radio station. What can I tell you?
My Lord. Everyone is asking me that. They're saying
I sure
Senator Anduki. Well,
I say on that cover,
boy, you think I'll be qualified to be a senator?
Why not? I mean, well, the discussion with us all is plenty more
yes,
relevant
yes,
than
it is. Well, after 21 years in the business, you know, it's like the back of my hand. Go ahead, make your point.
Just call and say hello.
Did you vote? Did you vote?
Which one we come, sir?
Do you have a problem with the electoral process?
No. I think it is. Yeah, I think and by the representatives on both sides of the polling
Well,
station.
that is my point I'm trying to make. Both each party or even the independent party, they have their polling agents there.
Yeah, they are the representatives there. And
of course.
They are witnessing the voting
and to
process,
suggest anything otherwise, right? In the it's an anti-EBC conspiracy.
So I'm trying to understand the logics behind the part of the income, because I know as far as this the UNC claim they said they had legal people at every polling station.
Of course, they have a right. They have a right to do that.
Because they said in absence of the observers now.
Yes.
But I don't think the observers also have legal people in their team. I don't know, asking.
Well, only if they are a legal person come in the team, but that is not necessary.
But they would not have 41 people in
no,
legal background.
No, they would
at every
not.
polling
They
station.
would not. They would not.
Right. So, I mean, let's say it goes and
that's when people don't want to concede. Well, you can have your say.
Yeah, right. I think, well, let me go ahead, man. At the end of the day, I know we need all on deck practically and intellectually and technically and
but
otherwise.
You know, the caller, the real question, there are two main political issues to address. Will the PNM support constitutional reform to allow a better electoral process? And can another political force emerge to challenge just ethnocentric parties that work, you know, to form a constitutional majority? Those are some things that the People's National Movement will have to consider.
Well,
let me take another caller and you can call back. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Yes, hello. Yes, Mr. Triple D.
Tell me something. Agent could take a bribe?
Pardon?
The agent could take a bribe? Local work. Could take a bribe?
Anybody could take a bribe.
That's one of the problems.
But there are legal people there. There are people from the EBC there.
I understand what you're saying. You know, every agent works for a party, right? Is it? Hello?
Go ahead, I'm listening. Make your point quickly.
Every agent works for a party.
Yes.
And if I'm an agent for X or Y, and say, hey, come across with Y now, I'll do something. What's your position there? Forget who is EBC or ABC, all them together. Tell me what's your position. Thank you.
Okay. 636-7547. 2275739. Good afternoon. Sir, just lower the volume on your radio, please.
Yes, darling, Elijah. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I must say yesterday, man, I keep, when I hear these two ladies anything, they have to call her after cut off, all kind of thing.
Pardon?
I saw Mr. yesterday.
Oh, you did? That is so nice to hear.
As morning clear, I'm waiting for 3 o'clock in the evening. Next thing you'll come to.
Oh, my.
I say you must be vexed with UNC and you say you're coming to work because you like what they're doing and all that kind of.
Well,
But
actually, I don't like what they are doing.
According to what you read, and you say that you was a former polling station agent.
Yes, I worked for elections many times.
And I know how the election is go, and I know what and what and what. And I can understand if, well, then you trust me, if you put me there to look at the counting of the ballot, and after the declaration, sign the paper, and make sure everything is in order, and I send on the result. Are you telling me still that you're going to recount? Then you never trust me. You put me there just as an eye watcher and telling me in your mind, you don't trust me.
You didn't trust me to put me there in the first place.
That is the first thing. That is the possibility of the whole thing. That is why she has to make a recount 2010 to 2050. And the same year amount of voters they lost by.
Yes.
And all them things. But my problem is that, and you put me there to see about your business, but you put me with a hard heart that you didn't trust me. So when the results come out, you say you're telling people, you see them, people may trust them, not even say what I put them, may trust them. So you have happened. Give me a recount. You mean what happened here now is that you can't come to the conclusion that you are loser of so many elections. Come to a conclusion, man, and do the utmost thing and do the right thing. And come to a conclusion and say, look, I lost in 20, and here what happened. All of vote not to vote me and call that.
Some people, they don't like to concede defeat.
No, you have to. You understand? I really going to tell you that go and talk to Jack Warner. And all of them something and come across, and you know you're going to do a good work on that Jack one. You know that. So, talk to him and tell him don't give up here. But you see with Jack Warner, he should have stayed Jack Warner's best. That is where he's supposed to say lose, draw, or thing. He should stay there and today that he had good results. But then,
that's pass and go on with. It's time to get on with the business of the nation.
But time to get on, why are you keeping back the movement? You understand? And this is the whole problem. You don't even trust your own people that you put in the polling station. And let me call that a deal. Later, darling.
Thank you. Well, for those who don't know, local government elections will be called, government by-elections will be called in the coming few weeks for 3 areas at least. We have 3 mayors who won their seat under the Chaguanas mayor, Vandana Mohit. You had Point Fortin mayor, Kennedy Richards Jr., who is also the councillor for Hollywood, and Arima mayor, Lisa Morris Julian, who is currently serving as the councillor for Dabadi O'Meara. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon, Anne.
Hi.
I just want to make 1 or 2 points.
Go ahead.
This recount that is taking place now, I think, let me tell you this, I'm a supporter of the UNC, yeah?
Yes.
But I think this is grasping at straws. It is
I said the same thing.
It is
They're wasting
foolishness.
time.
And I don't know who is advising Mrs. Kamla Prasad Bisesa, but clearly she is not reading what is happening. Somebody or some group of people who has been advising Mrs. Kamla Prasad Bisesa over the last year or so, they have misled her and they have put her in this position. They continue to...
You took the words out of my mouth. They continue to do so.
And they continue to mislead her, and she's going down a road where, you see just what happened just after the 2010 internal elections with Basdev Pandey, how people started to build a dislike for Mr. Pandey. Up till now, a lot of people in the country have a dislike for him.
Yes.
Mrs. Prasad
She will fall in that trap.
She is falling in that trap. She is going in there slowly but surely. This morning I told Kenrick, what I think Mrs. Prasad Bisesa should do is to offer her resignation. You're offering the resignation to the party. Will they accept it? That's a different perspective.
That's a different kettle of fish.
Yeah, but you offer your resignation. You have lost 2-3 elections. All the political leaders, Philip Edward Alexander, Mr. Jack Warner, Rekha Ramjit, and the names goes on. They have offered their resignation and they have told the party to move on. Whether the party accepts that or what will happen, it is early yet, right? But Mrs. Bisesa should have done that, offer it to the party and let them decide. The other point is, with 19 seats in parliament, it is a very strong. It will be one of the strongest opposition we have ever had in parliament.
Yes.
And with the kind of people who have, at least the majority of the 19 people are very seasoned politicians. They are very good debaters. They could have the PNM on the back foot. The PNM will not be able, the government, I shouldn't say PNM, the government will not be able to pass bills easily. They will not be able to rigroll or anything like that easily. And they should use that majority they have in the opposition and keep the government in check. Take this 5 years
well,
and start...
that is why I said in my opening statement, it is time to get back to the business of the nation.
Right? When you get back with the business, I am of the opinion very soon the PNM will start to make errors again. And that is what they should use the opportunity and start to go after them. Start the campaigning now for the next election. Whether it is a new leader, whether Mrs. Bisesa has to sit in parliament and head some young persons as the leader, or whoever the person is. But you start the rebuilding process now. By sitting down and I'm seeing they are doing something wrong already. I have noticed that 2 or 3 MPs have already sent out press releases. They fully endorse the leader. Well, if that is the way you all want to go, I am sorry to say that the UNC is slowly and surely dying. A slow death.
Thank you. 636-7547-2275739. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, and good afternoon, Trinity.
Hello, Larry.
Well, Anne, I know everybody talking about the election and the results and the recount and whatever. And Bird, you know what you should have said up front, Bird? You should have said that Mrs. Pasabi said just have the wrong group of people around her at this particular time, and even
well, she has wrong advisors. He said so. I agree with that.
No, but that's the wrong type of people. Don't just say a group of people. Say wrong. Wrong is a big word, right? Anyway, and I listened to the CMO today.
Yeah,
the CMO is saying that we are expecting a spike in cases. And I was saying that long before.
Yes,
when the election campaign were going on. So you see, the CMO is now trying to tell the population that we will have a spike in more cases coming up as the days and weeks coming up to us.
Because, for elections, they did not maintain social distancing.
Good. So then my question to the CMO is this. What your plans are at this particular time, Mr. CMO, on the COVID-19 spike in cases? Are we going now to see if we can get, when this government is sworn in, the new government, that we can get some legislation that people must wear masks, like the rest of the world is doing with people, to make it mandatory? Are we going to get that? Because if you are telling people nice and calm, wear your mask, social distance, wash your hands, and nobody are taking you on, and these cases going up, we were warning you, and you didn't pay attention because everybody was heated with the election. Today we're going to pay a heavy price, because the question is, after today, and you are seeing cases skyrocketing, are we going to lockdown? The Prime Minister said no, but I'll tell you this much, and let us start back from day one. When we got imported cases, the government locked down the country, took out money from the HSF fund, and started to do what they have to do. The government is saying today that we cannot afford a next lockdown. So let us ask this question. Is the government, or was the government at that particular time doing the right thing when we had imported cases? Here we have community spread. We have it in a big way now, and we feel it happening day by day, and we are not doing anything about it. So we're doing the reverse. We closed down the country when we didn't have the amount of cases like we have now. But today we're having major cases, and we have the country open up, and everybody going about their business vai. It is going to have a pandemic in this country, not only in the world, in this country, because you know why? Trinidad and Tobago citizens do not abide with rules and regulations. We do not take advice, and whatever we feel we do, we are doing it rightfully, and nobody can correct us. So we're going to have that spike. Have a pleasant afternoon, and take care.
Thank you. 636-7547. Continue to call us. And I was reading where the first concession telegram occurred when William Jennings Bryan sent William McKinley, 2 days after the 1986 U.S. presidential elections. Imagine that, a concession telegram. No, it's at the click of a button with the technology age. Hello, good afternoon. Good afternoon, welcome.
Afternoon, me again.
Yes.
I want to comment on what I'm thinking of the resignation of Ms. Bissessa. I do think she needs to resign at this point in time.
Why not? After losing 6 elections?
No, but I mean, from where they were, they're making inroads into, they have improved.
In one seat? Come on, caller, get better than that. One seat cannot make you hold on to the reins of power.
Oh, well.
Let's be fair and honest.
So
I am not against Ms. Prasad Bissessa, you know.
Let things settle and let the government.
I'm dealing with the facts. You have made inroads into one seat.
Because, well, at this point in time, I think let them settle down. Let the country settle down, start run community opposition leader, maybe January or sometime when you have your internal, you deal with that. That is my take on it.
All right, thank you. Hello, good afternoon. We lost that caller there. Sorry about that. Continue to call us back, 636-7547. Something is wrong with that caller there, that particular line. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, welcome.
Everybody said, I'm stop focusing on Ms. Kamla Rampasa, Ms. Kamla
Prasad Bissessa.
Prasad Bissessa about losing the election. She's not the fault. This country, people would want to call out and talk about it. We are divided. And if you check what has taken place with the last election and this election, it is a race election. The PNM won by race, not by performance. That is what was happening, and we continue like this.
Well, traditionally, I said we in this country we vote by race. I said so in the beginning, in the opening of my program, and I said, will the current government be willing to accept this challenge of the ethnocentric parties, or work with them to achieve a constitutional majority?
Yeah, because the last 5 years, look at what had happened. Did the government could tell the country that we have done this and so much we have done and the country in a better way? No, we are not in that. We have, look at the amount of money they take out from the Heritage and Stabilization Fund, and nobody cannot give an account where the money gone.
Well, if there is change, it is up to you and I.
Well, I agree with what you're saying, but even the account they're asking for, well, she may be, everybody against about it, so I like it, but they have a reason why, especially the La Joqueta Talparo Regional Corporation, that is, it was leading in such a way, and on a sudden, why Rowley declared before he didn't even compared to the last election going, he was bright and robust and everything. We have won. This one, he just come out, just walk in, just and say, and the PNM has won the election.
Well, so I can't say that. Only Dr. Rowley can answer that. You know, he said in an interview this morning that people would not believe him, but he after 40 years in politics and 40 years in public service, he was ready not to fight this year election. The man is tired. He said so. He said so. He said after 40 years he was willing not to fight this year election, yes, and give up that seat.
What he should declare that he should be said that I'm tired of lying to the country. That's what he is supposed to say. Right? That's what he's supposed to do, lying. Everything, even Petrotrain. He's not shutting down Petrotrain. All those people who resigned, what happened to them? Took to them, Marbella is dead. That was one of the places was asleep. It would never, people never sleep. Today, what happens, even to the surrounding in Gasparilla, some part of San Fernando, businesses gone through. All the vendors and the who to sell around the Petrotrain.
Well, this is what happened when you have a downturn in the economy. What happened to all of the hundreds of county workers that didn't get their land?
Yeah, look at that.
Under the UNC.
No, well, you see now, Pandey had come out at time, I can tell you this.
Pandey was nowhere in office then.
No, he was here, but they are blaming Pandey for running down. Right. But what happened to Pandey too? When I say, both government then, they depend on the treasury to run Caroni. and Caroni was not making because the kind of racket went through Caroni. Well, corruption went through Caroni. People who do have cane, they've been collecting money. So I don't want to discuss it, talk it over the years.
You can talk it over. I'm very well aware of it. I wrote about it many times in the past.
Well, right. That's what happened. So we are coming.
Well, it's a similar thing with Petrotrend.
Well, right.
A similar trend.
Look at Barbados to borrow money from we, and their economy and the state of the country was high. They still laugh. People still laugh at Trinidad. We, instead of we going up, we going down. And today look at what happened to we.
All right, sir. Thank you for your contribution. Continue to call us. It's 3:30 now. Let us take a short commercial break. We have to play our commercials. Let us take a short commercial break. And when we come back, you can continue to call us in. The lines keep ringing off the hook, but we have to take a commercial break. Remember, at 4:30 p.m. this afternoon is the Economic Forum with Ved Seram and myself.
Visit Eddie's Pharmacies Limited newest location inside JTA Supermarket, C3 Center, Current Village, San Fernando. They offer blood pressure, blood sugar, cholesterol, and pregnancy testing, as well as all pharmaceutical products and over-the-counter drugs, along with CDAP prescriptions. Sagicor Carry Care International Medical Card, Guardian Life Provider Card, and Republic Bank points are all accepted at their 3 locations of Eddie's Pharmacy Limited. RS Building, Rosha Douglas Road, Barrackpore, GN Building in Pinal, and C3 Center, Current Village, San Fernando.
Greeted in the wonderful name of Jesus. My name is Bishop Kelvin Khan from Endurance Ministry International. Our new location is in Railway Road, Londonville. You can tune into 97.5 every Sunday morning from 6 a.m. till 8. Tell your nanny and your nana, your chachi, your chacha, your grandpa, your grandma. We need to pray for our nation. God bless you. Thank you.
Praise Him, praise Him.
This is Samaru Ramrup inviting you on a journey down memory lane with enchanting songs on the program Nightline. Mondays to Thursdays, 9 p.m. to 12 midnight. Let your heart sing along with the music on U975 FM, Hot Like Pepper, Multicultural Radio.
U97.5 Hot Like Pepper Multicultural Radio is now on Facebook. Like us, follow and share our page. We'll be sharing the latest news, tips and much more. You can also view what's happening in our studio. Find us on YouTube and subscribe to our channel at RCL U975.
33 minutes before the top of the hour. Let us get right back to the lines. Good afternoon.
Hello, good evening.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, the only thing to solve this problem is constitutional reform, and that will solve it.
Yes.
And that's
which we have been hearing about for the longest while.
Yes, and that's the only problem.
But it have not been implemented.
That's right.
To allow a better electorate system for representation.
Yes, you are quite correct.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. 636-7547. Callers, remember you can also WhatsApp us your opinion on 378-4975. Good afternoon and welcome.
Afternoon again. Philip Alexander, who recently stepped down from the leadership of his party, right now it is in the public domain on Facebook that he has a petition up asking for fresh elections in this country. I am wondering if that does make any sense, because if he is asking for a fresh election via a petition, I would like to see how many people are going to sign that said petition that is on social media as we speak. I think really and truly if the citizens in this country is not abiding, or they are disagreeing, or they disapprove of this result of this 2020 election, they have the right to come out and stand in solidarity and show the authorities that they are disgusted, they are fed up, and if they want to ask for a fresh election, let it be in a large group, a large quantity. Because by signing a petition, I have a petition up and running still, and nobody really wants to sign any petition. So at the end of the day, Philip Alexander is the only said person thus far out of all the political parties that we have who was running for this election, is standing in the gap and saying, let us have a fresh election. That is something to be waited to be seen, to be heard, and reply from those in authority, whether or not that makes any sense. But he's on a good track, and if people really are discussed, they should pick up on it and come together and do the right thing, because it cannot be continuing with every day we talk about the result, we talk about the recount, we talk about Kamala step down. We're not going away. We have to live here, we have to abide with whatever decision we, the citizens, have chosen for this country, whether we like it or not. We have to get on with the life. If we do not, we will be left behind. Take care.
Thank you. Continue to call us in, listeners, 636-7547. Like this caller here. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Hi.
I wish to lend my support to the last caller.
Go ahead.
We have to form an organization independent of the two parties. We have to look for what we want. Waiting on them two parties, they can only be bickering at each other. But if we all get together, a couple thousand of us, and by doing our little protest and thing, we will get the road paved. They're going to break style at first, but when they really see how much people is coming to their office, by the hundreds, they will wake up and do something. Right now, we don't have no form of protest. All we can wait, we're waiting on this party and the other party, and all they're doing is putting each other in court. We're putting each other in court. The hospital need medicine, or the children need to go to school, the road need to fix and whatever. And you telling me, will you go into court, spending the state money? That is not the government money, it's mine and other poor people money, because I would say poor people is the one that bear the brunt of the taxes. I don't have nobody to pass on my bills to when the time comes. The rich man, professional man, he will pass the cost down to me. I is the one. So all the little people who get in sufferment, let's form ourselves in some kind of organization so we could really, this 5 years, we could really make a change. We can do it if we try. Thank you.
Thank you, caller. Someone on WhatsApp say and discuss the popular vote. It's an expression of the will of the people. Caller, let me say that popularity doesn't win. Popularity is the food that dead men eat. Hello, good afternoon.
Hi, good day.
Good day.
I just wanted to say something, right? I don't know if you can recall when the 1% did make a statement and say we're a small group, but we are very powerful. I don't know if you can remember that, but it was on social media, right? And despite the UNC or the PNM, whoever is the government now, going to be the government now, I mean, we need to come together as people and tell these people who we put in power and the opposition also that here what, if things are not going right, we stand together. People have to remember this now. The 1% is a small group. We are a big group, but we divided. But if we come together, despite if we say the PNM in power and they are doing the wrong thing, and if we stand up and say, hey, this is not how we didn't put you here to do this. But you see, we always do this race mentality, and you are seeing the colors now. You are seeing the colors now. These are what politicians made to divide us as people and never stand up for what is right.
Exactly, caller. You know, in my opening statement, I said, can another political force emerge to challenge the ethnocentric parties or work with them to achieve a constitutional majority?
Because at the end of the day, we have to remember we are one. Because we born here, we didn't born in a different country. And we have to stand up together. You see all this thing about race and race, politicians made their mind are set to deal with. They know our weakness, and we need to rise. People need to rise above this situation and move on in life. And next thing too, with the stepping down of the leadership of the Kamala Prasad.
Yes, what do you think about that?
Let me share an opinion on this, right? And I want to ask you a question.
If Kamala Prasad Bisesa step down, who do you think is fit to take that position, or you don't have a view?
Well, I cannot say, caller, who should lead. That is for the party to decide.
Right.
They will have to vote to have their candidate and vote. I cannot say that.
I am a party card holder.
I am not.
I am a party card holder of the UNC, right? Now, a lot of people going to say Munilal. And let me tell you something, and let me tell people something. The UNC is going to fail. They are going to fail. They need to start a...
Who do you think would be a good leader?
To me, I ain't seen anybody right now in that party fit to hold that position. Kamala Prasad Bisesa is a people's person. People need to remember this. In 2010 to 2015, she did a lot for African and East Indian people. And you see, people need to realize this. The 4 years at the PNM, I ain't hearing anybody talking about the 4 years that when PNM was in power, right? What they did wrong. And I want people to understand something. Politicians are not thieves. They squander our taxpayers' money. Because every time you always say the party, well, the PNM team this, the UNC team this, they are not thieves. They squander our taxpayers' money. We need to rise and come together, and we will win this town.
Thank you, caller. 636-7547, 2275739. Send us your WhatsApp messages also on 378-4975. Let's hear this caller here. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Hello, how are you?
I am okay. And
I haven't heard from you in a while. I thought you abandoned me.
Not really. I will listen, but sometimes I'm doing other things, and sometimes depends on the issue, I would call. And you see, today the issue is, it is burning, and it is burning a lot. We had an opportunity in Trinidad and Tobago on Monday gone to come together. And if it is you love your country and you say the PNM was doing wrong, you could have gone and vote for the UNC. Another thing, when Mrs. Kamala Prasad Bisesa choose new people, you hearing me?
Very clearly.
Okay. When she choose new people as candidates,
Mm-hmm.
the thing about it, all those new people, you think they will vote against her? It is loyalty now.
Of course. In fact, I have a couple statements before me, like Caroni Central.
Mm-hmm.
I have Khadija Amin sent in a statement as well. Caroni East endorses Mistress Prasad Bisesa. Right?
They have no other
Dr.
choice.
Yes, that
They
is
have no other choice.
Dr. Richard Sichawan.
Because if it is you going on the road and you see a whole set of people with certain problem, and you say, hey, I know this person. Come, you can do so and so and so, and you choose. You think they will go against you?
Of course not. That is the woman that put them there.
Exactly so. Exactly so. I am not saying she's a bad person. I'm not saying she's not a good leader.
Mm-hmm.
What I am saying...
I understand what you're saying. They will have to endorse her.
Exactly so. If they have another internal election, all those people, you will see they will support her. And they are not wrong, because they're given loyalty to what they get. And that is reality. But very few people, they say, well, okay then, I don't think it was right. And another thing, they could have come out with flying colors for this election if they had called in all the small party and talk with them and just hear what it is they want and what they're about to do. Nothing wrong in talking, And if it is you had done that, things would have been different. The thing about it, all the seats that they won, UNC won, they're not contesting it because they know they won. And when it is you have a person working for you in the polling office, the way how I see and I know things went, especially again this year, I don't think anybody could have any problem. Only way, when they go to count the ballot and they see a ballot paper that does not have the presiding officer signature on it, then you have to query that. Or if it is make a mistake, and it is you're not sure if it is a vote for who candidate or what is then. But as long as you work in there, you have all the numbers, all the name on your electoral list, you cross out who come in, you tick off who vote, and all this kind of thing. It is much better than international observer, because they will sit in an office. These people sit at all the polling divisions and look at all the names, all the people who are coming, identify them, and then send them to vote. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Listeners, continue to call us, and remember, at 4:30 p.m. we begin our session of the Economic Forum with Mr. Veda Siram, who will be joining me in studio for at least the rest of the program. Hello, good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon, Ms. Ann.
Hello.
Ms. Ann, I think that this whole thing, in terms of the removal of the leader,
The leader of the opposition, yes.
I think it requires, a proper analysis. And I would be slow to call for her.
What analysis would you give?
Well, my analysis in terms of, the thing about it here is that they work very hard, they work smart. But yes, there were a few faux pas or gaps in the whole process.
Yes.
But I'm saying that the odds were against them. And I'm saying that when you could have given the government could have given the government, the Treasury, $20 billion to campaign under the guise of COVID, where people were getting 3 and 4 checks, getting food card, getting hamper, people getting things to go and put over the roof. The government focused on those areas that were where you had vulnerable persons, and that is where they were able. Who could really battle against that? What more they could have done?
You are saying that they had an advantage.
They not just an advantage. They play math. They went in there. They had a whole treasury. No oversight by Parliament. The papers turned the newspapers and the reporters turned their eyes. It's total chaos. No political commentators saying anything. And they play math. They take the whole treasury and go in there and use the resources of the state to campaign. Where you ever see this? They use COVID under the guise of COVID. Who could fight against that? They did well to win additional seats. They should have been wiped. The UNC could have been rowled out.
Well, I don't think Dr. Rowley called for COVID to be here,
That is not the issue. The issue is that they had an advantage, an unfair advantage, in that they had the opportunity to use the Treasury, the $20 billion from the Treasury, in order to satisfy the needs of those people, the vulnerable groups in the society, and thereby solicit public gain their votes. That is the issue. Whether you bring COVID, I am saying that the UNC was at a disadvantage. That's what it is.
Okay, thank you. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Miss Anne.
Hello.
I missed you yesterday. Where were you? Beach lineman or something like that?
I went Coral River.
You see, I know something like that. You know, I was to study.
You know, long I haven't seen that river.
Anyway, let me just say this to you. I believe that the leader of the opposition perhaps relishes it when people say negative things about her. And, I really and truly wonder, this might sound really raw, but does she have a conscience? Let me ask you this question. We are in the throes of the COVID crisis. On the 20th of this month, our children are going to write SEA.
SEA, that's right.
And in addition to that, we are in a perilous economic state, and the Minister of Finance needs to put his figures together ASAP. Why is it that she chooses at this point in time to implement a total policing? Because this is what it is, You remember that day of total policing by the police? When they shut down the whole country because they could do it? So because Kamala Prasad-Bissessar could call for a recount, she could do it. I heard something during the press conference with Miss Anita Hayes, who confuses a prize and a praise, but that's another story. I heard something. A reporter asked her, did you hear that the PNM was paying $1,000 in Bass area for you to change the vote? She said, no, but I'm glad you tell me that, so we put that down too.
Without doing her investigation.
But the same reporter did not actually, did you hear Jolene John was totally prison people's house?
Eric, let me take a break. You have me laughing away. 636-7547-2275-739. It's 15 minutes before the top of the hour. Let us take a short commercial break, and we will be right back.
Visit Eddie's Pharmacies Limited newest location inside JTA Supermarket, C3 Center, Current Village, San Fernando. They offer blood pressure, blood sugar, cholesterol and pregnancy testing, as well as all pharmaceutical products and over-the-counter drugs, along with CDAP prescriptions. Sagicor Caricare International Medical Card, Guardian Life Provider Card and Republic Bank points are all accepted at their 3 locations of Eddie's Pharmacy Limited. RS Building, Rocha Douglas Road, Barraco, GN Building in Pinal, and C3 Center, Current Village, San Fernando.
Greeted in the wonderful name of Jesus. My name is Bishop Kelvin Khan from Endurance Ministry International. Our new location is in Railway Road, Londonville. You can tune into 97.5 every Sunday morning from 6 a.m. till 8.
Tell your nanny and your nana, your chachi, your chacha, your grandpa, your grandma. We need to pray for our nation. God bless you. Thank you.
This is Samaru Ramrup inviting you on a journey down memory lane with enchanting songs on the program Nightline. Mondays to Thursdays, 9 p.m. to 12 midnight. Let your heart sing along with the music on U975 FM, Hot Like Pepper, Multicultural Radio.
Newsday Classifieds. Take Value Optical to be your partner.
I do.
I do.
I now pronounce free eye test from Value Optical for Newsday Classified customers. Call the Newsday Classified reps for more information. You may now kiss the bride.
Population of our little nation is not a lot, but oh, what a mixture of races and culture, that's what we've got. Still no major indifference of race, color, religion or finance. It's amazing to you, I'm sure, we didn't get independence before, which means Trinidad and Tobago will always live on. Colonialism gone. Our nation is born, everybody. We go follow our leaders. They always do their best. Oh yes, we want to achieve. We're going to aspire. We're bound to be a success. It is a miracle all these different people can dwell so well. You see, we are educated to love and forget hatred. You know it's so. You people who are foreign, I got a message to give you when you go in. Spread the word anywhere you pass. Tell the world there's a modern nation at last, which means Trinidad and Tobago will always live on. Colonialism gone, our nation is born. We go follow our leaders, they always do their best. We want to achieve, I myself to aspire. We want to be a success. Bam, 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 bam. The revenue we make from oil and the pitch lake is great, but wait, we got cocoa and copra, banana and sugar, coconut, citrus. We may be small, but we wealthy. Pound for pound, we'll beat New York City. We got beaches and hotels built by Hilton. Our nation is second to anyone. Where you talking? Trinidad and Tobago will always live on. Colonialism gone, our nation is born. We go follow our leaders, they always do their best. In order to achieve, you got to aspire, and we bound to be a success. achieve this, but we didn't achieve this with flood of blood. It is leaders like Butler, Cipriani, and the doctor, they fight for what is right. So now I'm congratulating all our leaders from the present back to the beginning. They have fought, now the battle is won. Thanks for a good job, and well done, everybody. Trinidad and Tobago will always live on. Colonialism gone, our nation is born. We go follow our leaders. They always do their best. In order to achieve, I know we got to aspire, and we're bound to be a success.
Welcome back to Politics 2020, and that back in times there, political Kaiso, it's good to see the mighty Sparrow. Let's get back to the lines. Good afternoon.
What a Calypso classic.
Yes.
And you duck out on my Monday, eh? Well, no, I could understand why.
Pardon?
You duck out on my Monday, but I could
Oh,
understand.
yes.
Anyhow, let me
Leave that right here.
Left it and put it to the local balance. You know, what we're facing today is a crisis. A crisis of leadership in many sectors of our country. And the way leaders behave to each other, it leaves a lot to be desired right now. Because when you hear statements from one side to the other, everybody blaming everybody else, except themselves. Right? I want us to go back in memory to the period 71 to 76. When we had the no vote campaign, remember? I don't know if you remember that.
I was too young then, but I've read about it.
And we did not have as much confusion in terms of running of the country as we have today. Correct or incorrect? And today we have, as I say, we have a leadership crisis in many sectors. I think the most prudent thing for Mrs. Prasad Bisisa to do is when the internal elections come up, tell your people, look, I am no longer interested in being the leader of the UNC, or you vote somebody else. But it does not deter me from serving up my time in Parliament. Right?
Exactly.
And what
she will
it means,
still be the member of Parliament for Siparia.
What it means as well is that at the end of this term, I am moving on. Succession planning needs to take place. Now, I heard people asking who will take that position. I am not in a position to say I don't know.
Exactly, I said the same thing. That is for the electorate to decide.
The electorate of the UNC
yes.
will decide. Remember when the PNM had an election and Rowley was going up against Manning? Right, and that created its own bacchanal?
Of course, it will always have bacchanal if you go up against the leader.
Let the chips fall where they're supposed to. Now, I am asking...
In the same way when Mistress Prasad Bisesa was going up against Pandey.
Yeah.
There was a similar...
We had some issues. You understand? So let the chips fall where they have to. But if I have to say anything to Mrs. Prasad Bisesa, you've been there, you've done that. Consider your position now. Leave gracefully in terms of leaving the leadership for somebody else to take over the party, and continue to serve as a member of Parliament. And at the end of the term, do like the Honorable Prime Minister, say enough is enough. You understand? Now, I want to just throw out a little
like
thing
Mr. Manning did.
Yeah, well, I mean, Mr. Manning stayed up until such time when he couldn't make again. But I want to throw out something, because I hear people criticizing the UNC for asking for recounts. That is all right. Right? I wonder if the shoe, especially for PNM supporters, was on the other foot, how would they have reacted? Maybe Eric might answer that. You understand? But this is Trinidad and Tobago. We all live here. We all have to continue to live here. And I was listening to another frequency just now, and I agree with Ralph Maraj. Racism is plundered on all political platforms. You understand? Some may be more boisterous than others, but it does exist. It does exist even in communities. And we need as Trinidadians and Tobagonians to learn that we are all one people in one country serving, to the best of the ability and capabilities. And let us forget racism. I thank God I blind sometimes, because you don't see these, I don't see them kind of thing. And I thank God, and I want people just to remember, just give this a thought. If you were going down the road tomorrow, today, any day, and you happen to slip and fall, would you wait for somebody of your ethnicity to come and pick you up? Or would you be glad for a helping hand from anybody who is in the vicinity? Just to give it some thought.
Yes, sir.
Just give it some thought.
Thank you, Bawani. We have to go to the 4 p.m. newscast now, so let's take a break from Politics 2020. And when we come back, you can continue to call us in and express your opinion. The 4 p.m. newscast is up next.
Time has come. New 97.5. Make it your choice. Something for everyone. 975 FM. Music for you. It's all about you.
97.5 FM, Hot Like Pepper, Multicultural Radio.
Power to the listeners.
It is now time for Major News to the Hour, brought to you by Crystal Beverages Company, Super Quality Supermarket, Sheikh Elisha Limited, and the Trinidad and Tobago News Day.
This is the 4 p.m. news on U97.5 FM, Hot Like Pepper Multicultural Radio. I am Rajan Singh. Good afternoon. There is an expectation that the country can witness an increase in the number of cases of COVID-19 in the coming days. This coming from Dr. Avery Hines, Technical Director at the Ministry of Health, as he spoke at the ministry's press conference this morning. Dr. Hines made the announcement given the recent increase in movement among people in the last few days. He insisted, however, that the necessary protocols be maintained by all nationals.
As we've seen, there's been a fair amount of gathering and movement over the past few days, which, as the CMO alluded to, we expect will cause an increase in the number of cases. What we would like to emphasize is that the public health guidelines that we have given repeatedly are the ones that still hold if persons are ill, if persons have respiratory.
There is an assurance that non-nationals with COVID-19 like symptoms will be afforded the same level of treatment as nationals. This comes from Chief Medical Officer Dr. Roshan Parasram as he spoke at this morning's conference. In his clinical update, Dr. Parasram said the country would have recorded 308 cases as of this morning.
The treatment of all non-nationals as well as it levels the playing field for public health diseases. So non-nationals are afforded the same level of care, all the way up to ICU care, if needed, and surgery for any public health related matter. So you'll be given the full level of care, whether you are national or non-national. So that affords everyone similar treatment for COVID-19 and other such communicable diseases. So we're hoping that, if persons become ill, they present to our facilities, they get the treatment that.
The voice of Dr. Roshan Parasram. Another governmental office closed for sanitization in Tobago. This time, the Tobago House of Assembly, Division of Settlements, Urban Renewal and Public Utilities at the Coliseum in Crown Point is closed for sanitization today. According to a release from the division on Monday, the offices on the first floor of the infrastructure, quarries, and the Environment Shore Park were closed for a similar exercise. It was discovered that an employee was in contact with a person who was being monitored for COVID-19. A 64-year-old Morpher man was fatally stabbed on Sunday night. Jocelyn of Park Street, Morville, was stabbed around 10:20 p.m. on Sunday during a confrontation with a man known to him, but succumbed to his wounds on Monday morning. Reports indicate that the confrontation stemmed from an allegation that Jocelyn's dog had bitten the suspect. The matter escalated and ended with the 64-year-old being stabbed in the neck. Jocelyn was rushed to the Port of Spain General Hospital, where he succumbed to his wounds. Officers were contacted, where they searched and seized bloodied clothing in an empty area of the land near Park Street, believed to be that of the suspect. Two Arima men are currently in police custody, assisting with the investigation into a burglary in Pinto earlier today. Police officers recovered 2 stolen vehicles arising out of the ordeal. According to reports, around 4 a.m., officers responded to a distress call of a home invasion along Freedom Street, Pinto Road, Arima, where the victim was awakened by screaming. He told police that upon reaching his bedroom door, he saw 5 men wearing long-sleeve clothing and masks. He was subsequently tied up along with his family members. A short while after, the men left the house, leaving the victim, who managed to free himself and his family members. 2 vehicles were spotted in the vicinity of Punnett Avenue, each being driven by a male driver, were immediately intercepted. The 2 were arrested and taken to the Pinto police station, where they are currently assisting police with their investigations. And as we move across regionally to Aruba, the Department of Health continues to update the citizens of Aruba and the rest of the Caribbean with COVID-19 figures. As of August 11th, 87 new cases of COVID-19 have been reported. Active cases now total 600. The total number of active positive COVID-19 coronavirus has increased by 87 to 600, bringing the total cases to date at 717. There have been 3 COVID-19 related deaths, all residents confirmed in Aruba. The Department of Health continues its strong appeal to all persons in Aruba to follow the mandatory requirements of wearing masks in all interior locations and on public transport. And as we move across the globe internationally to India, according to a BBC report, tiger sightings increase in the Thai forest. This year, 79 tigers were captured on hidden cameras in Thailand's Tongai forest, which is an increase of more than 70% from 13 years ago. The forest accounts for half of the country's tiger population. According to the WWF, wild tiger numbers are starting to gradually increase globally. Tiger populations are stable or increasing in India, Nepal, Bhutan, Russia, and China. An estimated 3,900 tigers remain in the wild, but in some areas, including much of Southeast Asia, tiger numbers are declining. And on to the weather forecast for this evening. There is a medium chance of a heavy shower or thunderstorm in a few areas, mainly during the afternoon and early evening. High tides at 10:06 p.m., low tides at 3:24 p.m., sunset at 6:24 p.m. The current temperature is 30 degrees Celsius. And that brings us to the end of the news to 4 p.m. on U97.5 FM, Hot Like Pepper Multicultural Radio. Join us again at 6 p.m. for another newscast. I am Umaratan Singh. Good afternoon. Stay tuned for Anduki with a continuation of Politics 2020.
That was Major News to the Hour, brought to you by Crystal Beverages Company, Super Quality Supermarket, Sheikh Lisha Limited, and the Trinidad and Tobago News Day.
Attention all bakers, doubles vendors and roti makers. Try our high quality unbleached bromate free all-purpose and baker's flour. Low price and conveniently packaged in 2 pounds, 2 kg, 10 kg and 25 kg bags. For wholesale and retail prices, contact Shiklisha Limited 665-3336 or visit us at Warrenville, Canupia. Shiklisha Limited, quality you can trust.
For quality items, visit Super Quality Supermarket of Endeavour Road, Chaguanas, and Trin City Industrial Estate in Trin City, as well as Quality Cash and Carry Supermarket, Cuba Car Park, for all your grocery items, liquor, fresh fruits, and vegetables, not forgetting their bed and bath section and kitchen appliances for your home. With so many items to choose from, take advantage of our great prices and discounts at any of our 3 locations: Trin City Industrial Estate in Trin City, Endeavour Road, Chaguanas, and Cuba. For quality items, Super Quality Supermarket and Quality Cash and Carry Supermarket.
Greeted in the wonderful name of Jesus. My name is Bishop Kelvin Khan from Endurance Ministry International. Our new location is in Railway Road, Londonville. You can tune into 97.5 every Sunday morning from 6 a.m. till 8.
Tell your nanny and your nana, your chachi, your chacha, your grandpa, your grandma. We need to pray for our nation. God bless you. Thank you.
Praise Him, praise Him.
This is Samaru Ramrup inviting you on a journey down memory lane with enchanting songs on the program Nightline. Mondays to Thursdays, 9 p.m. to 12 midnight. Let your heart sing along with the music on U975 FM, Hot Like Pepper, Multicultural Radio.
It is back. Talk Your Talk is back. This is Mukesh Baburam inviting you to join me right here on U975 FM for the return of Talk Your Talk from 6 to 9 p.m. Enjoy your favorite segments and feel free to make your comments as we journey together. So join me, Mukesh Baburam, for Talk Your Talk. Talk Your Talk.
Just about 10 minutes after the top of the hour. Thank you, Omar Ratan Singh, for that 4 p.m. news update. It's back now to Politics 2020. The lines keep ringing, but let me just say that in this broadcast age, the concession speech of a candidate for high office reaches a high audience, a wide audience, right? And it is seen as the final swan song of a lost campaign. And I would like to mention the speech of Steve Alvarez, the political leader of the Democratic Party of Trinidad and Tobago, members of the Better United, who had fought that Moruga Tableland seat, right? Let me just quote something here that impressed me that he say, and there's something to think about. Going beyond congratulating the Prime Minister and all of that, let's leave all of that out. He said, I do not know the reason why my message and vision was rejected, but I am very sure that no matter how good it sounded to me and those close to me, it was rejected by the electorate and the media. I respect the right of the people to choose their own path, and with lots of love, I say to the people of this land, I wish you a safe and fruitful journey. And this is what a concession speech is all about. At the end of the day, it is up to the electorate to decide who they want. Let's return to the lines. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
I must say that I am disappointed in the both political parties. Totally disappointed. One man, they change up the business. One man say he divorced his wife, he could get the building rent out. And next one, they own children. And we have a lot of little things going on like that. So I am disappointed. They did nothing for the people. Nothing. They paved road and all kind of stuff. What happened to the road and thing down here? St. Margaret's and going up Princess Town and all of that. What happened to them road? Huh? That is why I'm saying we, the people who are hurting, we need to form an organization, not a political organization. but something that we could show the government a force, or whosoever it is, that we have a force and we need to get things done. I don't know what we're waiting on, but the last 5 years here, I have been looking at these things very close. Poor people get nothing. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Other callers were calling on the other line. You can do so now, 636-7547. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon and welcome back.
Thank you.
Now, I would like to say that Kamla Prasad Bisasa, where she castigated Mr. Pandey for losing a few elections. That's the time for him to go. I think she has lost more elections than Mr. Pandey. So
Yes,
it's time
of
to
course.
she used to say you should say goodbye. However, I feel since the eternal election in the party is scheduled for next year, I think she would hold on until next year.
Until the time is
Yeah.
just.
Yeah. And this is why she has put so many young people who are beholden to her with the, with the intention that they would side with her when it comes
People who
to
are loyal to her.
yeah, very loyal because they owe their position to her. But I think she should follow the British example. When the Labour Party lost the last election, seats which voted Labour for over 50 years went and voted for the Conservatives because they didn't like the pronouncement made by the Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn about the Jews, his anti-Semitic pronouncements, as a result of which the Tory party, the Conservatives, won a majority of 80 seats, which is quite a lot compared to the previous year, Mrs. May, who only had a handful, and had to call elections. I think she should follow that example and resign there. I think it's time for a change, and that change should come like yesterday. But I don't know why she is having a recount, because those things, the margin of 670-something with Mr.
3,000 votes in one seat.
In one, that is in Toko
Toko, yes.
Tanzania.
That wouldn't make a difference.
The difference, so why she is doing that? And you have Jolene John, there is 500 and something, and you have Dial Singh is over 600.
Chanapuna, yes. And St. Joseph.
St. Joseph. So I don't know why she's doing that. She's just playing for time to think cool down a bit, but she should concede because the government has won the election. Although we have won the popular vote, and I think because of that.
This is what I told one caller, one texter, I should say. I said, popularity is the food that dead men eat. Popularity doesn't win election.
No, it's forced past the post system we have. And then again, let me say there, Rowley has been known for making some pronouncements there which makes you think that whether his mental faculties are all in order. Now, we're talking about Kamla Prasad. The sister is calling for that because she wants to be like Guyana. But Guyana is a different kettle of fish.
It's a different kettle of fish, of course.
Because there you had they said there were 125,000 bad ballots in a population which has about 700 something thousand people in Guyana, just under 800,000, and then Region 4, which includes the Georgetown, and the Afro Guyanese mainly live in the urban area, just like in Trinidad, and they wanted to say that. But again, we have they CARICOM supervise that, and people from the Commonwealth and the embassies and so on from Britain and the United States and Canada, they had observers there looking at the recount, and the recount was valid. And they waited 4 months before they conceded, and they go to court there to prolong. They say, and this Mr. Fellow Lowenfield and Mr. Mingu from Guyana, from GCOM there, I think the Attorney General should look very closely at those fellows and see what charges could be brought against them. And they must be dismissed from GCOM there. So it's a different situation altogether. So why Dr. Rowley wants to say it is a situation in Guyana is rubbish, absolute rubbish. I don't know where he gets these ideas from. But as I said yesterday when you were not on the program there, The budget is next month, and we should wait and see the kind of belt tightening we're going to have and how many jobs are going to be thrown out the window there. How many people are going to be unemployed now? And we await the saga of Petrotrin and Mr. Roger. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Lachman. 636-7547. It's just about 4:17. You know, I was reading about about when votes are relatively close. You know, it is exceedingly rare for concession once issued to be retracted. Such an event had occurred in the United States. I don't know how many of you had remembered this in 2000 presidential election when Democratic candidate Al Gore Jr. telephoned Republican George W. Bush to concede the contest, right? And Gore was apparently unaware of the close vote count in the state of Florida. And when he realized it, he proceeded to cancel his concession address. A losing candidate commonly offers a private concession directly to the winning candidate, usually by telephone before any public announcement is made. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello?
Yes, you're live.
Yes, ma'am. I want to make a little statement about the Montefiore refinery.
Sure,
I am glad the Prime Minister signed no agreement with the OWTU for that refinery. And because they cannot run that refinery, not at all. Roger was employed by Petrochin or Texaco and all them that come down. He got a pay from them companies, and he never worked there. He never worked there. He never went on the job. He was the union president. Now, when we found out about this thing, they say that there's some clause in the agreement and the company, but he could retain his job there. Then you can retain the job there. When you need you, why didn't go to work? And also, in the port of Spain, there is one Michael Anicet. He became the head of the port union there because he had threatened Eric William and them because he would shut down the port. So what they did, they make him an honorary, they made him a senator. And now, Mr. Anicet, if he has resigned, he has a contract to clean them boats and going to Tobago and all of that. No competitive bidding. Are we all going to take this thing? I don't think so. And I know a lot, and I will keep calling this radio station and letting all you know about some things. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. 636-7547, 227-5739. Let me just say to all our WhatsApp listeners that you can only text in on that number. If you wish to get in on have your voice heard on the program, you'll have to call 636-7547 or 227-5739 like this caller here. Yes, go ahead.
I'm observing a track record.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't heard David Abdullah talk for 2 days.
Well, he probably get the COVID. His lungs probably enlarged.
But in reality, those small parties, they had no place.
The Better United, and you know, many of them formed this group called Better United. Yes, that is why
before they even reach far.
I was impressed about Steve Alvarez's speech. I like what he said. He stand up like a man, and he said, if the electorate reject my views and ideas, that is their choice, and it is.
Some Nicholas, wherever you from?
Yes, yes, from
he had a lot of
the PP.
Venom.
Yes, he had a lot of venom.
Yeah, he had a lot of venom in his speech. He said, this is the last time I'll ever hear me, and this and that.
Oh, well, the electorate have spoken.
I have to give Steve
Alvarez, I like his speech.
For the way he
congratulated the Prime Minister, getting beyond all of that. He said if the electorate, he cannot say why, but if they have rejected, his views, he accepted.
Is not it? And well, I see Carolyn Sipasad decides she call it. But it make no sense. These parties,
they beat around the bush, man.
Yeah, I just think they should exist unless they come under one unified force, not 3 and 4. You understand?
Yes.
One unified force, But you know this thing about power. Everybody wants to be head, and nobody wants to be the tail. You understand? So
True.
we'll always have that in certain circles. So, but I'm surprised I hear David Abdullah.
Yes, I
And
am too.
I think that he would not.
I might have to give him a call one of these days.
I don't think he would have won that point of seat because
No, I never doubted that.
remember the refinery is there, and you help whether you was directly involved.
He
in
was not active enough to help save the jobs of the workers.
Exactly. So he helped to put it in backwards and forwards. You understand? And like the last caller said, you have people who are touting to be leaders, like Roger, like Anisette. Yes, I remember when Anisette was made a PNM senator, and now we're trying to back them in a corner, all of that. But again, because you are a union leader, you're making noise. I wonder how much union leaders just tell the workers, well, you go to work for 8 o'clock.
Do you realize that people, politicians who have traversed both sides of the fences, that they end up nowhere?
So true.
Look at Gypsy.
So true. You understand? But I'm saying, look at WASA workers. You think any union leader tell the workers, well, look, boys, all you have to produce in order for... If people was getting paid for what they do, the country might have been better off for it.
It's a matter of trust. People don't trust them
Exactly.
when they jump from one side to the other.
Yeah, well, we have a kind of carnival mentality, you know. Jump and wave, jump and wave. Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you. It's 4:25, coming up at 4:30. Remember, listeners, it's Vaid Seram with the Economic Forum. Good afternoon.
Afternoon again, Dan.
Yes,
I'm
hello.
sorry about it there. These small parties should learn a lesson from this election on Monday. I see Jack Warner has hung up his boots, and so too Caroline Prasad Bacon.
Yes.
They hung up the boots, and this fella from PPP,
Alexander, yes.
Well, he has no more pep, political pep, in order to continue. And you know, pep means vigor. So I'm sorry about the pun on that on that word, pep. So you see, and they should know many of them lost almost all of them lost their deposits, so they will fill the coffers of the treasury, and I must thank them from the bottom of my heart for that, you know. But this fella Abdullah, I don't know why, and this station is one of the culprits in it. I don't know why you all give this man, and the TV stations as well, time there on this station to interview this man.
I try to get everyone's opinion.
Yeah, but he's a political non-entity, and when people have him on the radio program on the TV station there, he thinks that he's of some importance to the politics of this country. He is not. And it's time he put his tail between his legs and do like Jack Warner and call it a day, because he is not relevant to the politics of this country. He never was, he never will there, you know. Because look at Mr. Alexander from PEP. This man, you can thank him for that. He knows when to hang up his boots. He knows very well that he has no chance of winning election or even getting a few seats to hold the balance of power. But this fella Abdullah, he has his head in the clouds, you know. And I don't think that this government should ever allow that union to take over that refinery, because they will hold this country to ransom when they cannot get their way. And we will be suffering for fuel for our motor cars later on. And one of the two things one thing more I want to say before I go, is that we are paying in this country too low a price for water and for electricity. And I think the government should raise it, even cooking gas there, these $20 cylinder and the larger one. It is the lowest in the Caribbean. As a matter of fact, in TT dollars, Grenada pays nearly twice the amount, about $44 TT dollars for the smaller cylinder of gas. And I think and we are the lowest in the Caribbean for electricity. It's very extremely low. And I think that the government should raise this price. And although I am a UNC supporter, I will support the government in the next budget if they decide to raise cooking gas price, electricity, and water. Now, some people who cannot get water will criticize me for this. But the government, the people who are getting water now, And I am one of them. I pay about $397.25 every 3 months because I have a water system, which $94 goes towards that. But if they do that, I would like them to put a meter in my place. So I pay according to how much I use, And Mr. Lehan, he's the one who asked for metering, and they had some problem there, and they rejected him, Raouli, and he resigned as a minister. Because we need metering. I know business places are metered, but residential areas should be metered as well. And I don't think that house tax they shouldn't decide house tax on the size of your house, how many rooms you have, how many bathrooms and toilets, etc. I think if you live in a certain area, all the buildings in that area, as is done in England, they call it a rate, house rate, because everybody in that area gets the same service from the local government. Your rubbish is picked up, they clean the canals in the wintertime when snow falls and it turns into ice, they put salt to melt it so your car wouldn't skid and you can drive to work, in the English situation. But over here, we get the same thing. So if I live alone in my house, and although my house is 5 bedrooms, a neighbor next door to me has 6 children producing more garbage than me, and his house is smaller, so he's paying less, and we live in the same street. It should go by area. If you live in a certain area, the house tax should be the same for everybody in that area. If you live in a more affluent area, then the house tax goes up. Thanks very much.
Thank you. It's 4:30. Let us take a short commercial break, and when we come back, the Economic Forum is on.
Visit Eddie's Pharmacies Limited newest location inside JTA Supermarket, C3 Center, Current Village, San Fernando. They offer blood pressure, blood sugar, cholesterol, and pregnancy testing, as well as all pharmaceutical products and over-the-counter drugs, along with CDAP prescriptions. Sagicor Caricare International Medical Card, Guardian Life Provider Card, and Republic Bank points are all accepted at their 3 locations of Eddie's Pharmacy Limited. RS Building, Rocha Douglas Road, Barrackpore, GN Building in Pinal, and C3 Center, Current Village, San Fernando.
Greeted in the wonderful name of Jesus. My name is Bishop Kelvin Khan from Endurance Ministry International. Our new location is in Railway Road, Londonville. You can tune into 97.5 every Sunday morning from 6 a.m. till 8.
Tell your nanny and your nana, your chachi, your chacha, your grandpa, your grandma. We need to pray for our nation. God bless you. Thank you.
This is Samaru Ramrup inviting you on a journey down memory lane with enchanting songs on the program Nightline. Mondays to Thursdays, 9 p.m. to 12 midnight. Let your heart sing along with the music on U975 FM, Hot Like Pepper, Multicultural Radio.
Newsday Classifieds. Take Value Optical to be your partner.
I do.
I now pronounce free eye test from Value Optical for Newsday Classified customers. Call the Newsday Classified reps for more information. You may now kiss the bride.
Man, I have to tell them
brilliant police force. Them young fellas, they wanna walk, man, they lining and fetting wrong the clock, and yes, friend, they always have money to spend. Them beggars where they want a house for when they could sleep in front of any store. And if you see the beautiful city, sweet, sweet Trinidad, cause I love this country bad. I don't want to leave at all. Ever since that small little ball in sweet, sweet Trinidad, brother, brother, feeling glad. When I dead, please bury me in the center of the city. We got steel band music, sweet for so on. Don't talk about we sweet calypso bacchanal. When it come to the carnival, and if you see how the island progressing every day, new plans that they making sun or rain. Bend down your hand, they got brain. Man, if I go to tell you about yeah, you're gonna take me more than a year. As you see, happiness killing me. So I tell you, sweet, sweet Trinidad, cause I love this country bad. I don't want to leave at all. Ever since that small local ball in sweet Trinidad, brother, brother, feeling glad. When I dead, please bury me in the center of the city. Sweet, sweet Trinidad, cause I love this country bad. Yes. Tell you.
Welcome back, listeners. It's just about 25 minutes before the top of the hour. It's time now for the Economic Forum. We have in studio with us Ved Seeram. Good afternoon, Ved.
Yeah, good afternoon, Anne. Good afternoon, all listeners.
Yes. Let's get straight to the lines before we begin the Economic Forum. Oh, we lost that caller there. Where I am hearing, I'm hearing through the grapevine that the president is saying that on Friday will be swearing in of the government. She's given them until Friday on Facebook, it's all over Facebook, to determine this. You're telling me off air that she cannot decide that.
No, well, if it's not determined, how can she announce? Unless she flips a coin or something. But by and large, I think they have to let the process take its place.
The electoral process.
Yeah, if for example, whoever is objecting to the quality of the elections and the counting and so on, and if there is evidence of irregularities, that's a serious thing. And
you have to wait until it plays out. Yeah. Listeners, you can call Ved and myself on 636-7547. 227-5739 if you wish to WhatsApp us a message. The number is 378-4975. Ved?
It's interesting. I didn't buy papers yesterday, but is the count 202,000 or 204,000 versus 160?
The votes?
The number of votes?
No, I think the least was 4 something.
Was it 400?
Yeah, 4 something. And then the most was the Toko Sandy Grande seat with about over 3,000 votes.
No, I'm talking about the total votes.
The total?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't have those figures before me.
That is precisely some of the things I've been talking about, whether our system is geared towards a democratic process, But again, that's...
Explain what you mean by that.
Well, suppose a party gets the popular votes. You cannot ignore that. You can't ignore it. It means to say that some of the constituents have a lot more voters and compared to others. But I need to study that some more. But I'm saying it does not gear towards proper democracy.
That is why we need constitutional reform.
Well, constitutional is one, but even the allocation and the boundaries for the constituents are very important.
Some of the boundaries were changed for this election.
Yeah, but I'm just saying the constitution then should stipulate that no constituent should have more votes than, let's say, 2% than any other.
Someone was mentioning to me, what about if we have, instead of we having 41 constituency, what about if you vote by region, by county?
No, you can't do that.
You can't do that.
No. It's a number of votes, number of citizens then residing in a constituency, and that's a major issue. The number of citizens residing in a constituency. A constituency should be so made up that that they have equal number of citizens in
You're
all,
saying it
all
should
41.
it should be more equal, but
Yes,
would
of
that
course.
be possible?
Of course it is. That's simple now.
If you have an area like Toko that has a lot of rural areas,
Right, then you expand it to suit.
you expand it.
Yeah. And then on a very populated area, you contract it to suit. With
Like Port of Spain,
with
for
all
example.
all the technology we have now, and counting of persons and counting.
It's something that could be computerized.
Of course, that's very simple to do, and I think that is where the constitution should stipulate no constituent should have more than
More than the other.
more than 5% of any other. But
Let's hear what the callers have to say. Good afternoon.
Great, good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon, sir.
I want to come back on the economic forum, but I just want to.
Yeah, hello.
Are you there?
Yeah, I'm right here. I'm
Okay.
right here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you know, Vale, that at this point in time, there is no evidence to show that there's anything wrong with our electoral system, because there was 1986 when the PNM lost 33 to 3. In 1995, Mr. Manning lost again. And then again in 2010, Mrs. Bissessa swept the polls under the same system. We don't have to change it, you know.
No, I don't fully agree with you. All I'm
come
saying.
back on the economic forum, but I just wanted to
All
know
right.
that, okay?
Okay,
Right.
well, we can discuss that.
Well, Eric, you should have continued speaking because this is the economic forum, but the elections will come into the process because it is on the height of
it's a
people.
current
It's a
topic,
current
yeah.
affair. It's affecting a lot of persons. Some people tell me they are dreaming Dr. Rowley. This is no joke. Some people, it's on the height of their minds. They are thinking about it every left, right, and center, everywhere they turn. So we cannot escape that. But this is the Economic Forum. So you can call us back, 636-7547, 227-5739. We have budget just around the corner, Veda.
Well, I think that's the next. Let's finalize the
government.
The government
first.
finalize
Yes.
the government. Quite frankly, I'm indifferent as to which one, because I wrote an article. I think it probably came out today in the
Sunshine.
In the Sunshine, and my position was that this is not normal times where the winner of the election believe that they have an asset and a full treasury.
Right.
This is a case where they're inheriting liabilities, and therefore it calls for extremely proficient management. And the first thing they'll have to do, let the budget proceed, but they will have to start instituting austerity programs, and how well they implement those austerity programs to the benefit or the question of allocation or distribution of the pain or the difficulties, that is extremely important. So how well they manage the austerity program, based on that we can say whether it's successful or not. But I am not seeing that any great joy in taking over the government at this time.
Yes, you had mentioned earlier to me you don't see why any party, either of the major party would want the reins of power at this time.
That is correct.
636-7547, 227-5739. If you have missed our numbers, in case, you can call us there. Hello, good afternoon. Welcome.
Good afternoon again, Mr.
Yes, good afternoon, sir.
Now, I agree with you there that more people voted against this government on Monday than voted for them because they lost the popular vote. But there are two systems which we can implement here. One is first past the post, which we saw what happened on Monday. and the other is proportional representation. But even proportional representation isn't a foolproof system, because in order to be allocated a seat, you have to get a certain percentage of the vote. And if you get less than that, then those people who voted for that particular candidate would not be represented. So we don't have a foolproof system, and we have to work with what we have. At the moment, as I said before, and let me repeat there, even in the last election in the United States, you have Hillary Clinton got 3 million votes more than Trump. But because of the electoral college system, he got more electoral college vote based on the population there in the larger states and the more populated states there, which he took. And he is in the White House, regrettably, I must say, because I don't like him at all. And, so we don't know what the system is. But you talk about we are going to have some austerity measures, and the austerity measure is going to bite into the people who cannot, who are the lower strata of the economic ladder, and they are going to feel the pinch. The well-off will be able to absorb that and still maintain the standard of living. But it is the poor man who will live in day-to-day, eking out a living, and that is going to bite, and bite very, very hard. So let's wait on the budget, and the budget will give us an indication next month precisely how this government is thinking. And then the people who voted for them will have to hold their head and bow. Thank you.
Well,
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I think it's not just a question of the poorer, because most of the middle class are actually being absorbed in that category now. And don't forget that when the government at the moment cannot meet its recurrent expenditure, and I think there was a conflict in terms of communication when you're still getting involved in some mega projects on the basis that that will bring jobs. And it will bring immediate jobs, but though we have to be very, very careful about what kind of capital expenditure that you embark on. But I think the first priority for any business, any government, is to meet their recurrent expenditures and meet their outstanding payables. And I think that has been a very painful exercise over the years, that government admits liabilities, even if it went to court. And I'm not talking about just this government, I'm talking about Trinidad government as a whole. And what you find is that even if you have a court order against the government to make payments, they still don't make payments, and there's no real redress, because by the time the individual go up against the government, the state, first of all, they have an appearance of far greater resources to fight you, and they fight you till the end. And similarly with the banks, they take you for a ride. And I have a client that they got so old fighting a case for 20 years, they pass away, and that it fizzles out. And I think as a society that wishes to call itself mature, I think some things like that, there ought to be personal liability against the individuals.
Let's take some of the calls here. Sure. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, and good afternoon, Babe.
Yes, good afternoon.
So, what is our current debt right now in this country?
Right, you have to define debt first of all.
How much money have this government borrowed, locally and internationally?
Right, there's a formula for determining that. When they started off, UNC...
Before you explain that, I want to interject with another question. So and then I'll hang up. Because I read recently, actually today I did read, that they say that because of this COVID-19, that over 8 billion jobs need to be created globally for young people in this world.
So
I have to tell you something. Our government have failed at creating meaningful jobs for young people. We've sent them to OJT, and what did they end up doing? Construction jobs. We put them in the bank, and half of them don't know customer service. I don't know why we play these games, but we are not getting real investors here because of our corruption index. Wait, I don't want to get on my soapbox again today, but I do want to say to you, sir, can you explain to the people what will happen to this young generation, this new generation we have coming up, and the future? Because everything is all upside down. Our children now can't get a job. Adults are losing their jobs. Businesses are closing down left and right. And the Prime Minister does not care about crime in this country. He said that, crime is doing great. And even Gary Griffith said that crime has reduced. You know why? Listen to me. Today, that animal that did that to that young girl, That is what we are going to see happening in the future. We are going to see a rise in crime because these young children have no jobs. There, I'm going to get off the air so you can answer my question. Thank you.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Ray.
yeah. One of the major concern, and I've been writing about it for a long while, so this is nothing new. And quite frankly, I think the Economist has failed us in this regard. When you define debt, when you go to a bank and the bank say, okay, what's your total debt? Debt means liabilities. It means to say what you owe the banks, what you owe in terms of taxes, what you owe if you're building a house, or how much material you took on credit, and debt is your liabilities. But they continue to define debt as bank debt. So they break up the debt into local bank debt and then foreign bank debt. And that is an inadequate analysis of your true payables. And the problem there is that no one in Parliament has ever brought that up as an issue and actually attempt to create a balance sheet for the government. We do have accrual accounting for those who understand accounting and cash-based accounting, and whilst you can have a little hybrid of both, other countries or other more advanced countries, quite frankly, I don't know even if United States does that, but Barbados government produces a balance sheet. Now, let's look back at our current debt. When the UNC came in, bank debt alone was 45 billion. That they exited at when bank debt was 75. So they put on about $30 billion in debt. But that is not all they borrowed. You remember that 30 billion is in absolute debt. But you also, the amount you borrow will include what you repaid during that period. But let's exclude that for now. When the PNM took over office in 2015, at 75, I think they've moved it up now to about 120 or 125. So there's a massive jump by about 50 billion. But then when you include how much money is that they repaid during that period, then that is the total amount that they have borrowed. So the borrowing now, I believe, is about between 120 to 125 billion dollars. But again, at the moment we cannot repay even the interest from our recurrent revenues. We cannot pay. And what we are relying on is that we have to borrow money to pay the interest. And I would like to see that kind of a debate during the budget. That level of debate in terms of finances totally absent, and which is unreasonable at this stage where we pat ourselves on the back and we say we are very educated and so on, and we do not have that deep debate at the level of Parliament. So let's hope that so I think I've answered two questions. The question of creating meaningful jobs. What Trinidad has relied on is a business model that says, look, we will earn foreign exchange from our gas and oil. One previous minister said, look, we don't need to plant anything because we have enough money to import vegetables, right? So over the years, what we have created is from the surplus of the oil and gas, government has been able to fund themselves. They have been able to support a huge level of subsidies, and that subsidies now has filtered through the rest of the economy, the non-energy sector, and that is what precisely has kept us alive over the years. Now, during the 1980s, oil prices dipped, but in the 1990s, we also found that we have an alternate use for natural gas, and I think things started to pick up in around 93, 94 or so. So, but we have totally relied on oil and gas over the last 30 years, and we have never diversified the economy. In fact, we have concentrated the economy more because we have virtually closed down all the agriculture. Agriculture contribute less than 1% of our GDP. Let's assume all those numbers are correct. But by and large, we say, okay, the manufacturing sector, that is the non-oil and gas, you take away the Point Lisa's manufacturing. I don't know, recently government has plumped that into manufacturing to make the manufacturing figures show up much more than it is, but I would leave that with oil and gas. But the manufacturing sector relies totally on importation of raw materials and subsidies. So raw materials and the subsidies that has maintained that the non-oil sector in Trinidad. And Now that that is disappearing for various reasons and international events and so on, is that we are left with nothing to go by.
Someone has put a message here on WhatsApp. It said there's a provision for an upper and lower limit for the number of eligible electors in each constituency by law, as per the Representation of the People's Act. I think it is a plus and minus 5%. Well, caller or texter, let me say, that is not confirmed, because in various constituencies where you see a different number of electorate.
But that's excellent. It means to say the framers of the Constitution recognized the need for equitable treatment of the allocation of the constituents. Now, if that is there, the question is, has anybody been monitoring it over the years?
Has it been implemented?
In fact, and this is the duty of the
Caller,
opposition.
just hold on a second.
This is the duty of opposition and the government to ensure.
Both of them, yes,
Yeah.
both sides. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon again, Wade. Wade, are you there?
Yes, he's
I'm
here.
very much here.
Wade,
Tell
do
me.
you like ice cream?
Well, I'm diabetic. I used to.
What
I still like
what
ice
are
cream.
you getting at?
I still like ice cream.
Wade,
Yeah.
we once had an ice cream in this country called Walls. Do you remember that?
That's a long time. Yeah.
Yeah, but what happened with Walls is that there was a local ice cream that wanted to compete against it. And
Yeah.
what they did, they sent the taxes right up on it, and Walls had to disappear, almost like Humpty Dumpty.
Oh yes,
his
yes.
partner.
I remember. I think
Fell
there
off
was
the wall and crashed, and Walls
was
is no longer on the map.
Yeah, there was a quick entrance and exit, I believe.
Good. Let me ask you a question. Jay.
Sure, ask me.
How many Walls ice cream do you think exist in our economy and the market today that the minister needs to treat like Walls when it comes to the budget for us? And the other question I want to ask is this, Dave.
Yes.
Do we have enough vehicles running on the road? Do our used car dealers, even our new car manufacturers, need to go to Japan every day and bring down more? And the question is, if they are doing that, should the minister then say, okay, there's a certain amount of CC I would allow at normal prices, but the ones above a certain amount of CC, you're going to have to pay much more for it? Should he say that? Because we need to save on our foreign exchange. If we don't save on our foreign
Yeah.
exchange, you're going to be in serious problems.
But Kola,
Right?
I've been singing that song for the last
Right.
6 years.
No. The whole idea is simply this, Wade.
Yes.
The minister's main task at this point in time, we know, is to save on foreign exchange,
That is correct.
reduce the amount that you spend, right?
That is correct.
And so that you can have some semblance of sanity in the economy. Because right now it's a mad economy. I consider it to be.
Well, you know, I'm glad you mentioned that.
Well, anyhow, I don't want to stay too long on the phone. I'll listen to you as I
No,
hang
no,
up,
no.
but I just want to say this to you.
Yes.
That just like Walls ice cream, the minister needs to find out what are the other items that look like that. And he needs to treat that as a matter of urgency, because some things that we have, we don't really need it, you know. We have it because we want it. So I'll listen to you.
Thank
Yeah.
you, Eric.
Yeah, I think that's a very good approach to it, and that's where the budget is very important, and that's why I'm saying that whilst the COVID-19 would have given the government some sort of privileges to dip into the savings, that's fine, and that's come and gone. I don't think that government could actually, if they dip again, is to meet the second phase, and I'm asking a simple question. Government cannot afford it. In other words, how can the government afford that when they cannot even meet their recurrent expenditures? So government now underwrite the whole economy in Trinidad, and that's impossible. We might be able to do it for a few months, and that's it. What has to happen is that government has to ask the same question, sir, that you have been asking, and say, guys, and come clean with the population, that look, we do not have any money in the kitty. We have some in the Heritage and Stabilization Fund. Excuse. We have some money in the Green Fund. Put all those funds together. Forget the original purpose of it. We are drowning at the moment, and therefore we cannot afford to sit and debate that, look, the legality of these things. And the legality of it, the original purpose of those funds, could easily be overturned in what I would call it as a crisis. The Bank of England, and I want to give you a comparison. Bank of England said that they are going to experience the worst depression for 300 years. IMF and the World Bank has told the Americans and the world that America is going to experience a worse depression than in 1929. So we cannot, somehow we appear to believe that everything is normal here. I think this is the first election that we had such a low turnout. The numbers I recall was about 32%. So we are living in a very strange world, and you mentioned the word mad, and precisely that is what is happening to Trinidad and Tobago. We are, I think the psychologists and so on call it anomie. We are in a state where we have never seen before, and therefore all our thinking are disturbed, and therefore what we require at this stage is very clear thinking on behalf of our leaders to design exactly, come on level with the population. I do not think anyone will object to the government coming and tell us the true nature of our economic position, the true nature of what are the challenges we face, and design a plan to deal with it, which has to be an austerity measures, focus on a few things, and say, look, for us to implement these austerity measures, we, the cabinet, and we'll ask all the parliamentarians and so, let us cut our salaries so that we send a clear message. We cannot be saying, look, we want more money to manage this country, and at the same time telling the ordinary citizen to tighten your belt. So I think, I do not know if we have space at the moment, because this is almost, I would consider this as like wartime, that we have room for opposition and governance. And we can't afford any kicks in Parliament at this stage again. And I'm bringing that out to you because I am seeing it very clear before me what is going to happen for Trinidad and Tobago. I saw it from 6 years ago. It's just that the COVID-19 has just given us a kick over the cliff. And we have to come together. I wish some of these economists who have been talking at the university and so on come and say, look, I understand the situation, take 20% cut in my salary, take it. Because it is necessary at this point.
Like in Australia and New Zealand, what they have done.
It is necessary at this point in time. And for persons to be unreasonable, and this is where the unions come in as well. They're all going to fight for increase in wages. They said the teachers said they haven't gotten wages from 2014. And my position to them, say, thank God you still have some wages, because a lot of persons don't have any wages at the moment, and they do not know where the next morsel of food is coming from. So therefore, that is where we need very, very strong leadership. And if the Prime Minister, the President pronounce the PNM in government, there's no partying in this at this time. There's no partying. You don't know when the next bomb will fall on Trinidad, and that is the crisis that we are in, and that we don't have time to engage with massive expenditures. What we have to do is to see that all Trinidadians, at least they go to bed with some food that they are fed, and the school children are fed, and there's a lot of poverty in Trinidad. We are not seeing it. We need to eke that out and find out precisely where they are. And the number of unemployed is increasing by the day. United States said on the last quarter, their economy declined 34.7, I think, %. Are you telling me Trinidad only declined by 3 and 4%? That is madness. We do not have data in Trinidad, and that is extremely important.
It's just about 2 minutes after the 5 p.m. hour. We have to take a top of the hour break, and we will be right back.
Time has come. New 97.5. Make it your choice. Something for everyone. 97.5 FM. Music for you. It's all about you.
U97.5 FM, hot like pepper, multicultural radio.
Power to the listeners.
Attention all bakers, doubles vendors and roti makers. Try our high quality unbleached bromate free all purpose and baker's flour. Low price and conveniently packaged in 2 pounds, 2 kg, 10 kg and 25 kg bags. For wholesale and retail prices, contact Shiklisha Limited 665-3336 or visit us at Warrenville, Canupia. Shiklisha Limited, quality you can trust.
A&S Hardware and the General Contractors Limited of 107 Bonaventure Road in Gasparillo. For all your hardware materials from foundation to finish. Not forgetting all your general contracting needs. We have it all at A&S Hardware and the General Contractors Limited, located at 107 Bonaventure Road in Gasparillo. Just call Tiki Ali at 650-2180.
A&S Hardware are wholesalers and retailers of plywood, an assortment of lumber, galvanized pipe, hollow section, and steel. Customers can enjoy special prices on white pine and pitch pine doors.
For quality items, visit Super Quality Supermarket of Endeavour Road, Chaguanas, and Trin City Industrial Estate in Trin City, as well as Quality Cash and Carry Supermarket, Cuba Car Park, for all your grocery items, liquor, fresh fruits, and vegetables, not forgetting their bed and bath section, and kitchen appliances for your home. With so many items to choose from, take advantage of our great prices and discounts at any of our 3 locations, Trin City Industrial Estate in Trin City, Endeavour Road, Chaguanas, and Cuba. For quality items, Super Quality Supermarket and Quality Cash and Carry Supermarket.
Visit Eddie's Pharmacies Limited newest location inside JTA Supermarket, C3 Center, Current Village, San Fernando. They offer blood pressure, blood sugar, cholesterol, and pregnancy testing, as well as all pharmaceutical products and over-the-counter drugs, along with CDAP prescriptions. Sagicor Carry Care International Medical Card, Guardian Life Provider Card, and Republic Bank points are all accepted at their 3 locations of Eddie's Pharmacy Limited. RS Building, Rosha Douglas Road, Barrackpore, GN Building in Pinal, and C3 Center, Current Village, San Fernando.
Let's talk Guyana. Join me, Irma Ratan Singh, as I bring you news, updates, information, culture, and traditions of Guyana. Let's talk Guyana, Mondays to Thursdays, just after the 10 a.m. news headlines on U97.5 Hot Like Pepper Multicultural Radio.
Greeted in the wonderful name of Jesus, my name is Bishop Kelvin Khan from Endurance Ministry International. Our new location is in Railway Road, Londonville. You can tune into 97.5 every Sunday morning from 6 a.m. till 8.
Tell your nanny and your nana, your chachi, your chacha, your grandpa, your grandma. We need to pray for our nation. God bless you. Thank you.
To you, Newsday Classifieds take Value Optical to be your partner.
I do.
I now pronounce free eye test from Value Optical for Newsday Classified customers. Call the Newsday Classified reps for more information. You may now kiss the bride.
Welcome back to the Economic Forum, listeners and all our viewers on YouTube on RCLU 975. You can catch us there on YouTube. We're also streaming live on the World Wide Web and also on the traditional radio band of 975 FM. Where there's the one person texting who is saying, hence the shifting of the boundaries to have that equilibrium. The total number of eligible voters is divided by the number of constituencies to arrive at the permissible number of voters per constituencies. Your comments?
Right, that is correct. So that makes sense, the number of voters divided by the number of constituencies. The second part of that analysis is to make sure that those constituency boundaries conform to that formula.
Who is checking on this?
Well, both the government, the EBC, as well as the opposition.
Opposition have a right to do so.
So that should have been declared long before.
Even before the election.
Yeah. So I'm just saying, if that was accurate, then you would not have a situation of a popular vote. I'm subject
It's
to
you.
correction that one party will get over 200,000 and the next party get 160,000, and the lower one gets the government. So I'm just saying that maybe there was some they were overlooking the actual numbers at the time before they went into the election. But that is something to look at. I'm not saying that I'm 100% correct. It's just the information that I received
Of course.
without confirmation.
Listeners and viewers, call us in on 636-7547, 227-5739 if you wish to get in on the Economic Forum, or continue to text us in on 378-4975.
Well,
Go ahead,
and
Lydia.
there's some very interesting article today in the Business Express business section, right?
Where we go from here.
Yes, and the editor asked, how bad will the next 5 years be? But there was on the next page, restaurants face collapse if TNT locks down again. Whether they lock down again, we are locking down almost automatically. Our handbrakes is up.
They are collapsing one day at a time.
One day
Yes,
at a time.
they are.
Because just imagine, no one is really tracking the unemployment that is happening in Trinidad.
The unemployment
No one.
rate, of course.
No one. The last time I mentioned, I heard that one of the auto companies or the auto industry only sold about 30 cars in 1 month. That's 360 cars for the year.
Speaking about the question with auto cars, you have been stating for the longest while we don't need to import so many cars.
But that's the other flip
And
side.
a caller made that
Yes,
point.
of course, you don't need it at all. But if you stop importing cars and the banks stop lending, the banks are coming under severe pressure in terms of their non-performing loans. And they are also going to say, look, sorry, we're closing off. We are not lending to cars. That's how the banks operate. Our portfolio of non-performing loans on auto loans for housing and so on is too high, and we have stopped lending. And that is how the market works. They'll suddenly stop. They'll cut off lending. They said, look, their exposure is too much. Similarly, at some point, the banks could say our exposure to the government is too high. That's it, no more. And therein lies a problem for the government, because they're relying on additional borrowings to carry them through. So the restaurants face collapse if TT locks down again. TT is being
Without locking down again, they are collapsing.
well, TT is being locked down again because no new jobs are being created.
Yes.
No new jobs. Look at it this way. Your economy, you have your private sector that employ your businesses, and your SMEs, that's the smaller companies and so on.
Small management
Right.
businesses.
We are dependent upon revenues from oil and gas, which has virtually been, that tap has turned off. It's
yes.
just leaking
automatically.
it's just leaking at the moment. In the meantime, government expenditure is way beyond their borrowings, way beyond. In fact, the deficit, I've been saying, they've been under-reporting deficits for years, and the evidence is there in the number of loans, absolute number of loans that we can test. But none of first of all, the government misreports the data, and secondly, no one in parliament, opposition, and we have independent senators, and no one has asked the question, sir, can you tell us, Minister of Finance, can you tell me the true level of deficit for the coming year that you anticipate, and what was the true deficit for the last year? You cannot run a country without knowing your shortfall. You cannot run a business without knowing your shortfall, and I don't see we have the all these private institutions, that different commercial associations and so on. And why can't they ask these questions? Simple questions. If your data is wrong, then how are you going to manage a business?
Well, you remember the Minister of Finance said himself when he was about to raise gas, he said he raised it once, twice, no protest.
No, but
he's raising it a third time.
that is true. Generally, I tell you, people, we don't have the passion like the 60s and 70s again. Middle class countries don't have the passion to revolt. You have to fall into the poor category. And you see those revolts in large cities in the United States, they belong to the destitute poor, They belong to the destitute poor. That they're well educated, but they do not have a job to go to. A fellow in France, he said a few years ago he was living quite nicely. Now he cannot even pay his rent. You see people, executives.
Well, I am seeing in Trinidad, one by one, people cannot even pay their rent.
Well, that's going to happen. So the rubber band is just going to burst one day. Now Trump has instituted, he said, look, you're allowed not to pay the rent for a certain period of time. But what's just appeal by the government is not to pay the rent. Hopefully I'll worry that the government has hold back payment for a few months. But the point is, you can only do that by example. You cannot just instruct people to tighten their belt and you are living the
high fancy life.
Yes, like as the caller mentioned, there are certain things to put on a negative list, but government has to take some very strong measures. The Saudi Arabia in the 2008 recession, they instructed all the ministries, do not buy any furniture, do not buy any more cars, do not build any more buildings. So all capital expenditures came
We may
to a
come
halt.
back to the time, you remember the time when we couldn't import apples?
No, but we have to come back there very quickly. That should be the number one as a token, and you get down, you drill down into the products we really do not need, and maybe Christmas time, if you could afford it, okay, but that's fine.
You buy one apple.
Yeah. Now that you have apples available, is there a lot of the apples are being thrown away,
Yes,
because
indeed.
if you go to the stalls, some of them are rather soft and aged. They look 80 years old. I mean, that's sort of wrinkles, but it's just showing you that our purchasing power for the average Trinidad is declining.
Our propensity to import is too high.
It's too high. That has to stop. And for those who say we cannot feed ourselves, I am saying, go for this week alone. Just go and buy local items from the market. Just go and buy local items, and you'll be surprised.
Homegrown items.
You'll be surprised to know that you can live without imports.
Of course.
Powdered milk. Why should we be importing powdered milk? So much milk is imported here. I was speaking to one of the executives of the Milk Dairy Association or so, and he said a few years ago they were making 13 million liters of milk for the year, and now it's down to 1 million. Why should that be? And he said 13 million was fairly adequate to supply the market. So why can't we do that again? You know how many people will go back to the farm and start back their dairy, and then we can start to make cheese and butter, and that is the life we have to live. We cannot depend on imports when you don't have US dollars, when you don't have hard currency. Now if you have it flowing through your ears as we had it a few years ago, that's fine. But now that we don't have it, we have to make adjustments, and this is where I'm calling on government to actually design a plan so we become self-sufficient in food within 3 to 5 years. And that requires a very comprehensive strategy in terms of education as well, distribution of land, support to the farmers as to what crops to grow, give them for the time being, for the start, a guaranteed market with a guaranteed price, and we will be successful. Rice, we just need 15,000 acres of land, unlike what the Minister of Agriculture said, that Trinidad is not big enough to grow rice. If you have to grow rice on everybody's roof, it's still not big enough, and that is not right. So we need accurate data and get cracking on it and put people to work. Those of us who believe, and many Trinidadians believe, that people of African origin don't like farming, and that is not true. That is not true.
Tobagonians, look at them there.
Of course,
they can grow their own food.
Yes, but give them a I would call it a even chance to have a fair standard of living, and everyone will get involved with agriculture. Why are we importing dehydrated sorrel from Egypt? Can somebody please explain that to me? A dehydrating unit, you can get it for about $1,000 and dehydrate as much sorrel as we need. So all these studies have to be done.
Why do we import? I think it is from Switzerland. We import soursop drinks when we can grow our own soursop here.
And we're importing. Look, you can go and walk in the store. The last time Arthur Lockjack said that My God, he went through the groceries and so many things are made in Trinidad. They are assembled here. They're not made here. They're all the raw materials come in. All the popcorn and, the cornflakes and so on.
Yes.
All the raw materials come in. Even the materials to make the boxes, we can have a vibrant...
I was reading about the recycling issue. We were supposed to discuss that, but maybe on Sunday we will do that. Yes, the boxes that it's assembled here and all the raw materials we import it.
That is correct. So
yes.
I'm saying Trinidad has huge opportunity.
And how does have an impact on climate change and all of that?
We have a huge opportunity to build back an economy from scratch because we have a lot of infrastructure in place. Unlike if you see at Ghana when they go out of the city, the kind of roads they have to drive on to deliver goods. So we are very fortunate in many, many ways. And we have to say, okay guys, let's start from scratch and let's see what economy we can build. And we cannot build an export manufacturing based on subsidies because there's no extra funding from the oil and gas sector to support that level of subsidies. One of your caller mentioned the question of the low prices we pay for electricity. We are paying in Ghana. When I checked it a few years ago, they were paying 37 US cents per kilowatt hour, and we are paying 5%. I think in the Point Lisas industrial estate, they're paying less than that. Now, go ahead.
Let's take. Oh, we lost that caller there. Go ahead, Reid. You go ahead.
Yeah. So I'm saying I've heard too much talk over the years. Too much of it, and all hands on deck. This is an article by Asha Javid in the Express again. One economist. This is what his recommendations are, which is of no recommendations really, right? Dr. Hussain believes that the key to growth is transformation. He said a new government has a plethora of issues to address. The first concern is that we have to return the economy to growth. That is not our first concern. Our first concern is stemming the slide and bringing it as a soft landing to a different place, not growth. How do you measure growth? Do you measure growth by the level of unemployment, or do you measure growth by GDP? Do you know there are several issues with regards to measuring GDP? When I think it was BP, when there was that explosion of the well in the Gulf of Mexico, they spent over $90 billion to clean up. Do you know GDP for that year grew by 90 billion? Is that the kind of growth we want? If that is the growth you want, then very simple, let Petrotrin open up its tank and leak all over the place and create a environmental havoc and clean it up, spend billions of dollars to clean it up. That adds to GDP. So we have to be very careful about how we measure growth. So our challenge is not a question of getting it back to growth. Prior to doing that, you have to create a platform to stem the decline and bring it to a soft landing, and then we start again. We can talk about growth. But don't tell me about growth where they explain he said the current account balance will need a boost from the non-energy export revenue side. This will require some improvement in the incentives offered to all and sundry. What incentives? Government is broke. What incentives can government give?
Provide us with.
They're already giving so much subsidies by way of water, by way of electricity, by way of natural gas. We saw the other day when NGC wanted to raise the price of natural gas. The exporters objected. They said, no, we'll have to close up shop and fire people and so on. So they just said, so therefore they are walking on eggshells. In other words, one little event can close them up. Far less if you take away the subsidies. Government is spending perhaps 15, 20 billion in subsidies. So if you government take away that, because their budget deficit is very huge already for 2020 and going into 2021. I hope the people ask the appropriate questions. Maybe I will send a request that they actually do and tell us what is the true nature of the deficit for next year and how that will be funded. So for the economists to just tell us, I think we could have gotten this from any O-level textbook. This is not a recommendation as to what precisely must be done, but to say improve incentives offered to all and sundry. what is the likelihood of that happening? It is zero. The only incentive I think government could do is perhaps lease land at a peppercorn rent for somebody. Nothing else government can do. Another economist weighed in on our ranking in terms of starting of business 79, getting credit 67. So what if it moves to 50? Does it really change? These are ranking, comparative ranking. So if other countries improve and we stay the same, then how does our economy change? So we have to be very careful about the economists mentioned as well that had estimated the decline in the economy of approximately negative 8.2% between 2016 and 2018. Let me ask a question. That is 2016 and to 2018. That is 16, 17, 18. 3 years. That excludes 2019. So in other words, we are dealing with stale information, stale data. But I'm asking one question. If the US economy declined by 35% roughly in one quarter, are you saying we only declined by 8.2%? It just doesn't make sense. I always looked at the data being provided. When they say our economy declined by 0.1 and we are turning around the corner and so on, forget all of that. Those are bogus accounting. Those are bogus information. What we should be interested in is our quality of life index. The quality of life index will give you the true picture of our state of happiness, our state of contentment, and the quality of life. Precisely, that's what the index measures. So it measures one of the first things is that your level of unemployment or employment. That is critical. So why don't we say now, we don't have accurate data, and I'm asking the question, are we so dumb in this country that we have not developed the technique and the system to measure unemployment? Are we so dumb and we keep patting ourselves on the back saying that we are so educated and our literacy rate is so high and we don't even know our unemployment? The unemployment to measure say staffing a workforce of 630,000 or 650,000, we can measure that. If we say 1/6 of that is with government, surely we can measure that. We can say so many with industries and pointless, so we can measure that. So many. Look, I think we are way behind because we do not know how to collect data, and when we collect data, we do not know how to use it. So therefore, if we don't know how to use this data, or we're collecting wrong data, then we're going to make very wrong decisions. And I hope we should be put on a war footing, as most countries are now. They're on a war footing, and say, guys, look, these are the things that we have to do, and let's just get it done.
Let's hear this caller here. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon.
I've been
sir.
listening to Mr. Sturam. I've been listening to you. But actually, what I want to make a mention here, it has nothing to do with what you say, Andy.
Okay.
I'm going to digress. You know, when you go in the grocery, the aloo is dirty like hell. And don't talk about them little onions. I don't know where it's coming from. But and I think the prices that they're charging are ripping us off. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, what's going to happen in the world with regard to trading in food is that many of the countries, their supply chain has been disrupted. Just the other day, there's a farmer in Canada. He dumped 700 tons of potato. He couldn't get it sold. It couldn't go to the restaurants, and so the logistics on it has been disrupted badly. So what we might be getting is the dregs that whoever could smuggle. We don't know the extent of all of that with regards to food, but the good thing about it, we can grow potato in Trinidad, and we can grow potato onions in Trinidad, and we should get started immediately. And this is where we need a government to say, guys, look, I'm going to allocate so many acres of land. You plant A, B, and C. We're giving you the technique to do it, and we're giving you a guaranteed market. We'll buy all from you.
So let's hear this caller. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon again. I want to agree with the last caller there. I have spoken to my supermarket owner here in Colosseum. You go to buy the potatoes there, they have it bagged in these plastic transparent plastic bags. And when you come home and you wash it, there's a lot of dirt in it and some of the tomatoes as well. In England, you cannot do that. If you sell it in the market or in the supermarket, it must be clean. Otherwise, they will stop you from selling it. So I don't know why the health inspectors there don't go into these supermarkets and check these goods. Now, the second point there, I want to disagree with Mr. Fred. Now, he is talking about negative lists. I just want to draw his attention to what is happening between China and the United States. When the United States stops buying certain products from China, China retaliates. And as China retaliates, as I said on this program before, with the soya beans and so on, the farmers in the Midwest of the United States are suffering. They are losing billions. And they now have to be subsidized by the U.S. government. And again, negative listing is against World Trade Organization rules and regulations. If we put things on negative lists, let's say we're buying flour from the United States, and we put that on the negative list and say use cassava flour, and put all the doubles vendors and all the roti shops and all the bread shops out of business, and put thousands of people out of work. And they said we're not going to buy your natural gas and your oil that you export in there. What are we going to do?
Yeah.
Where is it going to end?
Yeah, let me address that.
Let me finish again.
Okay, go
now,
ahead.
you have been saying that we have to do, and Rowley said it recently, about a day or so ago. Rowley said he's going to increase the budget for the agricultural sector. So we are diversifying into agriculture. And I have said it on this program before, and I will repeat it. Bangladesh, a country of 160 million people of the land size, geographical land size of Florida, they were agriculturally based economy, and they have diversified out of agriculture, not into, out of. And today, they have a lot of high-tech industries there because they have a highly educated population there in Bangladesh. And they are the 34th largest economy on this planet now. So why we always saying diversify into agriculture, and we don't have the land space to produce enough to feed the population and export to get foreign exchange? Why don't we think about diversifying into high-tech industries? Because we have the brain power here. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. Let me address the question of negative listing. If you go to Barbados, there are ways to do the negative listing. I don't see why we are so worried about WTO, but let's say we have those agreements, not a problem. But what we are saying, you can import whatever you want. You want to buy a Rolls Royce, go ahead and buy it. But we are not giving you we don't have the foreign exchange for that. There's no agreement in the world to impose on us the condition that we must give whoever wants the foreign exchange, and that is where you control what you import and not to import, by way of saying, look, we do not have the foreign exchange to give you for that. We prefer spend it on medicine. We prefer spend it on basic items. We don't have money to give you to import caviar. We don't have money to do several things. So I don't see why WTO should come down on a small country like us and knock us off the face of the map. With regards to the budget increase by agriculture, that budget increase doesn't mean to say it's going into agricultural production or developing agriculture. A good bit of that could be absorbed just in pure administration. So we have to be very careful what we do with it. And that's a small budget over the years, and we have to ask the question, where does that money go? If it just goes in paying the employees, then that is of no use. But you shut down the agricultural ministry and allocate monies directly to farmers with regards to machinery and land or whatever incentives, right? With regards to Bangladesh, if you're recommending that we go into sweatshops and so on, I don't have a problem with that. The population will have to decide whether they want to go into it. They tried it in Jamaica. I don't think it worked. They tried it in some of the smaller islands. It never worked. Bangladesh is an overpopulated country with a lot of poor people and willing to virtually enslave themselves. And that is precisely what is happening in the world today, where the large multinationals, they go into these countries and engage in slave labor. Slave labor, you had it in China, and now that is moving to Vietnam and other countries in the Far East. So we have to be very careful about what kind of the diversification for Trinidad. You always ask the question, what resources do we have? So if you don't want to do agriculture and open up some sweatshops, I have absolutely no problem. Propose it to the government and let the government propose it to the population, and maybe let's start in that direction. But to say to reach the levels of Bangladesh in terms of whether 10% of world trade and so on, I don't know. That's a far shot. I'm talking about low hanging fruits. At least we can start feeding ourselves.
Listeners, I see we have missed a couple calls there while Mr. Siram was speaking, but you can call back now. Hello, good afternoon.
I want to respond to what Betty just said.
Sure.
Now, we were producing sugar here.
Sure.
After State and Line, we nationalized it and we had County 1975 Limited. Now, because of the fact that we were a colony of Britain, we had the ACP, the African, Caribbean, and Pacific countries. We were given preferential treatment to sell our sugar into the European Union here at above world price. Now, when that happened, two large sugar producers, Australia, a Commonwealth country, and Brazil, went to the World Trade Organization and reported it. And the World Trade Organization ruled in favor of Australia and Brazil. As a result of which, that preferential treatment we were getting at the European Union on the instigation of Britain, we couldn't get that above world price again, as a result of which we couldn't compete. And the sugar industry had to close down because it was being subsidized by $500 million TT dollars. And I want to respond again to another thing Vivek just said. Now, a lot of industries are being relocated from China and into India for the simple reason that in China, which is an autocratic society, and India is a democratic society, if there are certain things the government does which affect these foreign nationals, multinationals that are producing goods and services in India, you can go to the Supreme Court and get a judgment against the Indian government. But you cannot do that in China. And another thing is that the cost of production in India is cheaper than in China. You mentioned about slave labor in China and in Vietnam. That is not slave labor. It is they are being paid less than they would pay in an industrialized country. For example, we want to buy some ships from Australia for the to gather our coast, but those ships are being produced by the same Australian company in Vietnam. Toyota, for example, are producing cars in Thailand. It is of the same standard as those produced in Japan. But because the cost of production and the labor cost are cheaper and the taxation is cheaper in Thailand, they are producing Toyota cars now. You go to buy any Toyota car from Toyota there in Barataria, they're all made in Thailand. So don't say it is cheap labor. Don't say it is slave labor. It is cheap labor. Nobody can have slave labor in India because we have a Supreme Court to take care of that and we have unions to take over that. So you must be truthful and don't be selective in what you say. Thank you.
Well,
wait, before you respond, let's hear this other caller. Hello, good afternoon.
Respond to that, sir. It is slave labor. It's called exploitation of human rights. Do you know all those bangles you're wearing and all those glass jewelry, all those bead necklaces and stone necklaces? Even the incense you burn is made by child labor in Bangladesh. I get sad when I see this Expo India coming here and selling all these clothes. And I say to myself, my God, how many of these were made by child labor in factories in India, abusing human rights? Here now, we have the same thing here, you know. You ever go in the market and see children selling? You ever go in Price Mart and see children selling? People taking their poor children and begging for food. That is what we've become. We have become a begging state. And you know what makes me sad? You know what makes me sad is that the human exploitation is okay. It's okay to human traffic people. It's okay for Venezuelans to come here and get raped and killed. It's okay for our people to migrate abroad. It's okay for us to be oppressed in this country. And it's called human rights violations. And we don't have a strong human rights violation. Here now, COVID-19 in the prison right now, you know. And guess what the government say now? The Caribbean human rights say we want all those 800 people in prison who are non-violent prisoners. We want them out because they are going to die in that prison. But the government not saying nothing. You wouldn't hear about testing. You wouldn't hear about COVID testing. The reality is this. We are enslaved and we're still in our plantation. And that mentality, that model has to be changed. And that model works for the few, and the few love that model, benefits from it. They benefit from it from shareholding, dividends, just like the sugar estate, just like the tobacco, any other cocoa industry, banana. They invest and they reap the benefits from us. And when people say human resources, human labor, let me tell you something. It's called human rights violations. Mr. Sriram, I have to tell you something, eh? I grew up in this country when I was little. I used to sell chicken in the market. I could gut and pluck a chicken in 5 seconds. Because let me tell you something. I was growing up in the market at 12 years old selling chicken in the market. That is what we did. And there were no laws. And it still exists today because our children are going to be used again. I'm going to go there. I'll let it go, Mrs. Sriram. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I mentioned slave labor, but you're so correct. Child labor, I suspect, tongue-in-cheek here, but that's a lot worse than slave labor. And recently they found out mining silica. You can just Google child labor in India, in the Far East, Bangladesh, and Pakistan. I mean, look, this thing is perhaps more active than during slave trade, you know. It's more active than during slave trade. In China, it's a big, very big problem. So let us not close our eyes to the kind of slave labor. And that's what I'm saying. If we want to open sweatshops here, we are quite free to do it. Who's stopping us?
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon, sir.
I want to give you a little, I'm talking about personal experience. I get a big 20-gallon garbage can. And I went to the plant store and I buy me that potted thing they have now. I buy about 4 bags, right?
Yes.
And pull up in that garbage can. And I put a few potato in there. Not sweet potato, the one from outside.
Yes, Irish.
That thing grew. It really grew. Man, when I see that surprise, I say, aha, I'll get some good potato. Well, after the leaves start to get yellow and things, and I pull them up. The potato is bare a lot. But they was big like bird egg.
Yeah. There's a technique for that, you know. And I think this is where we need people like yourselves in Trinidad. But having taken the first step, that growing potatoes in containers, because as
listen off, caller.
Yeah, as the leaves grow, you have to keep molding it and throwing more soil on it. So
is it the same for ginger and so?
I don't know about ginger, but potato is probably slightly different. You have to keep adding soil. But this is where we need entrepreneurs like yourself to experiment. Let's experiment. And let us now get the universities and so on. And this is where educational television comes in. And let's say if we have a six-hour television with regards to agriculture and a variety of things. And that's why I suggested we have to adopt is let us eat what we grow, but also grow what we eat. Now, if growing what we eat will capture what you're doing, and suppose every household can cultivate potatoes in such a manner they get a few £100 for the month or for the year or something like that to meet our needs. That will be a dramatic step in becoming self-sufficient in food.
6367547. We see we have lost a couple calls here. I didn't want to cut off Mr. Sriram when he was speaking, but you can call now. No, that's okay, Wade. 6367547. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, good people.
Good afternoon, sir.
Let me go back a little bit to this. We pay too little bit for water and current. In one instance, I do agree. But then, just if they raise that twice the amount, then the fellow who's receiving is $2,500 pension with the robbers $500 every month. He won't be able to pay and mind himself because he won't have nothing remain when the end of the month to pay his his check bill after and the water bill. Think about that.
So look,
the pensioner won't be able to pay that amount.
Yeah, all persons on fixed income is going to be hit very, very badly. all in, and this is where some kind of relief has to come for many of us who are on a fixed income. Pensions does not respond to inflation, and precisely inflation is going to grow every year, and this is where government has to come in. And this is in other countries. I agree with you. The government, and that is where they can still continue some subsidies with regards to water and so on, provided that we don't waste water. Because it has been relatively so cheap, we have been wasting water, wasting gasoline, wasting electricity and so on. We waste it a lot. So educational programs have to be instituted so they can also advise us how best to save, because sometimes they say if you're putting on a switch on a 220, it takes up a lot of current, it might be best to leave it on. So those are the things that we need to be educated on, and let us have a widespread education, and starting from school, primary school, because many of the children will pick up that easily, and when they come home they will tell their parents, Dad, Mom, look, we have to do A, B and C. And I think we have to make a concerted effort to be conservative, but at the same time let us not waste the things that are given to us. And with regards to some level of subsidies, it has to continue, otherwise many of the poor persons in Trinidad, poor families, they'll be wiped out. They'll be going into destitute poverty.
Yes, Mr. Will, I do agree, but when I don't mind you putting on a meter for me, because they have that's your phone, if you have your home phone.
Yes,
you have a standard rate about, I think it's 28, I don't have any again. I think it's $28 or $32, whether you receive a call, whether you use it or you don't use it. The same thing with TNTech. You have a standard rate, I think is $10. You have to pay that whether you burn current or not. So if they put the water meter and they charge me when I use no water, and don't tell me all water is water when I put rainwater.
No, you're very correct, because a lot of the water is wasted.
I listen off here.
Yeah, a lot of the water is wasted in Trinidad. It runs off and it goes to the sea. And many countries, they insist that when you're building a house, you build a cistern underneath the house, and you collect your rainwater and you survive with it. Even in the Caribbean, in the drier islands, that's what they do, in Anguilla and so on. In India, they do it. In Sri Lanka, they do it. Many of the countries, they do that. They shouldn't be saying that is Wassa water and come and inspect it and charge you for it. In fact, you should be compensated in some way for doing that, because you're making a water supply to citizens of this country. So we need the whole idea of austerity measures. You cannot just impose very strict austerity measures where you virtually kill off a section of society, kill off economically. You have to have some kind of support there as well.
Let's hear this caller here. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon again. Where as you close?
Yeah, good afternoon, sir.
Where do you remember a fellow by the name of Ken Gordon?
Yes, of course.
You remember the EPZ, the Export Processing Zone?
Minister of Tourism.
No, he was Minister
and he has started a ice cream company as well. You may not know.
Like you're obsessed with ice cream this afternoon.
I did not know. You see, that is something I did not know about him.
Okay.
But you remember when he was Minister,
Yeah.
86 to around 90 or something, he came out
Yes.
before the coup.
Yes.
He started something called the Export Processing Zone, which got the unions very, very upset. Right? They said that was slave labor and all kind of different things.
Right.
So I remember that. But seriously, you see, the infrastructure we have in this country, we don't need to move to that, because there are so many things that we can do here if we look around that could keep people employed and could keep us turning a local economy rather than looking on the outside. And we don't need to move to that. We have gotten too much accustomed to things that we don't need, and we buy it and we use it, we consume it, and at the end we really don't need it.
Well, I'm so glad. I'm not sure if you're singing my song or I'm singing your song.
Well, I've been preaching this for more than 20 years, and there's nothing new about me.
Okay,
right? But listen, the point I wish to make to you is, yes, we are in perilous times, but this is the times when we need to bring in our invention and innovation and everything else, and we can make it work. We really and truly don't need sweatshops. So that sweatshop argument, I find it so it really and truly isn't necessary. It's not necessary. We don't have to go to that level. What we can do is look around and see where our assets are and make those assets work for us in relation to keeping employment going, keeping the economy turning, and not looking as much as we have been looking before to import things that we really and truly don't need. Okay, Ben?
Well, this is where I hope the government could come up with a practical plan, and it has to be practical because time is against us. We are losing valuable time in what to do, and quite frankly, COVID-19 has thrown us a spoke. So that's real googly. It has a lot of us confused.
Good afternoon. Welcome.
Hi, Anne.
Make your comment quickly.
Valuable time. It's called valuable time is of the essence, and children are getting older every year. And now children are in quarantine and COVID. And we have children now growing up. You know what they want to be now? A gangster. We have children who are committing crimes as early as 13 and 14, raping children. This is what we've become. We've become monsters, and the Prime Minister is okay with that. Eric can talk about all this esoteric stuff. Oh, we're going to do this and we're going to do that. You ever go in a supermarket? When I first moved here, I used to see old men packing groceries in bags because they couldn't find any jobs. Those are the jobs that our elderly people have to do now. It's not even like Walmart in America. It's worse than that. Because this country does not cater to young people. There's no jobs. The only way you can get a job in this country is that you hook up with the government and you have an inside. That is how it works. There's no innovation. Innovation means exploring the market out there. We have nobody reading and doing research right now. And if there's research, it's shelved in a storage room in a library where nobody will read it. I went to the Centennial Library, the agriculture library, because I wanted to do something about locust farming. I thought locust would be a good thing to make feed, because I thought this is high protein. We could change this and make it a feed production, high protein, organic, and we could stop the locusts from killing off all the plants. And when I went to that Centennial Library, let me tell you, it was paltry. 2 people getting paid full-time and nobody coming in. Library have no computers, internet down, and all the books are from the 1800s. It just amazes me. I'm going to take my comment up.
Yeah, I think we ought to thank our times, because we live in a very interesting times, or very fortunate times, where we can Google for a lot of things. We can Google and find out a lot of things. You don't have to.
Everything is on the internet.
You don't have to take the first recommendation that you see. However, you can do a tremendous amount of research to solve virtually anything. If you want to make a rocket to go to the sky, you can find out how to do it. And the question is trying out. And I would congratulate the gentleman highly for trying to grow potatoes. It's small, but I'll tell you, it's very, very sweet. I grew potatoes, must be about 40 years ago, on the ground, not in the thing. And I was disappointed with the size, but by and large, it was very, very sweet and nutritious. So these are the people who have to come forward. There was a gentleman in South Trinidad who said he was growing sweet apples and grapes. So those are the people we need to bring forward and let's discuss the opportunity. And by way of our scientific capability at the University of the West Indies, we can see how we can tailor that to meet our climatic conditions in a much more prolific way. So there's so many exciting things to do. Believe me, whilst this is a recession, we have to look at what good can come out of it and make Trinidad and Tobago food independent, and put our people back to work. And I had recommended so many things with regards to agriculture and agro-processing and recycling. And we promised to talk about recycling in a more detailed fashion.
We will do so probably on Sunday. Okay. Listeners, it's time for us to wrap up this program now. We see the calls are coming in, but we have to end the show now. It's the 6 p.m. newscast coming up with Irma Ratan Singh, and just after that is Talk Your Talk with Mukesh Baburam. Stay safe and don't go out unnecessarily unless you have to. Remember, we are living in perilous times. We hope to see a new government sworn in soon. We'll have more of that discussion on Sunday on 10 to 1. I know many of you had missed 10 to 1 on Sunday. Well, it returns on Sunday with Ann Duki and Ved Siram in my company. Have yourself a wonderful evening.